So first of all, I'm very excited to welcome you all in sunny Clearwater, Florida, in this HADS Leadership Academy. So welcome. But the department that from HADS that put together this event, they have put their own special welcome for you. So I'm going to put it on right now. Hope it's going to work. It will work. And here we go.
Greetings, 2021 Leadership Academy, you brave soldiers who fight Corona and joined us here in beautiful sunny Florida. We apologize for hacking this presentation, but our team wanted to be a part of it too. So come meet them.
And this is your HADS team. But this event would not be possible and HADS would not be what it is today without the help of some of the HADS members who really stepped up to take very important roles within the organization. And this is the Business Advisory Board of HADS. We have the executive committee of the Business Advisory Board with Nathan Shields. Nathan is the chairperson, Lisa is the vice chair, and Janine McClellan, who is the secretary of the executive committee. Thank you, guys. Awesome. And then we have Bart McDonald. Which committee you guys are? I think, I'm not the reimbursement, you are, I think you guys are advocacy or reimbursement, something like that. We have Harry, Angie, Vicky Buchanan, Dana, Connor Israel, Vic Stewart, and Christina Panetta. Thank you guys for everything you do. Thank you. So some of you, as you said, you've joined HADS the past couple of years. So maybe you did not have the opportunity to know a little bit the history of HADS and how it started. So with just very few words, I just want to tell you a little bit about this. It was somewhere towards the end of 2013 that the whole idea about HADS started, and started getting established with partners joining it in 2014. We realized a need for the profession of physical therapy to really elevate itself. We realized the fact that the physical therapy profession, at least in terms of reimbursements, it was in a place of not secure survival. And at the same time, we identified that there was a clinical need to serve our patients with higher diagnostic and clinical standards than what we had. And this is why we decided to create HADS, an organization that not only would elevate the competency, the clinical competency of physical therapists in the diagnostic and clinical patient management areas, but also an organization that will help in the reimbursement front for physical therapy through a higher reimbursement stratum through the area of diagnostics. So we started first as an organization that was delivering services through licensing agreements. But in 2016, it was a milestone with the establishment of the franchise. And 2016, 15, 16, foundational changes took place, and really we started rapid growth and enhancements in our delivery structure. Yeah, we end up putting together this is the forum I was talking to you about. And these are the town halls. We did 35 town hall meetings, 9 webinars, and 2 forums. And here's the proof with a seatbelt in the car, being somewhere in New Jersey at that time. So later on, April 10 comes, and HADS is behind the creation of a grassroots movement for the whole physical therapy profession. Here you go.
No one asked them to do it. It's their sense of duty. It's their humanity. In the front lines, saving lives. You are our heroes. And the physical therapists of our nation are standing next to you. Working together, we win. Visit www.ptforheroes.com.
So hundreds of physical therapists around the country, they join us, they join this effort, and this became a very well publicized campaign that reached some of the national media. And of course, from April 25th, May 2nd, and in June and July, we do other things, including the boot camp. And perhaps some of you recall being in the boot camp with us, delivering the course, and all of a sudden, a text message arrives that informs us that HHS fund applications are available now. And we are saying, stop, we're stopping the course right now. Everybody go to this website and put in your application. And a whole bunch of you did. And that was good, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay. That's good. And then we didn't stop there, but in September, October, we're scheduling October 3rd and 4th, the HADS annual symposium and summit, but this time we incorporated as an international conference in electromyography and MSK ultrasound, where we did it in collaboration with the APPA's Academy of Clinical Electrophysiology and Wound Management, where we had hundreds of participants, not only from the United States, but from across the world. And of course, throughout all this time, starting sometime, I think, October, later October, 6 of you stepped up, 6 HADS personalities stepped up, and you guys started having coffee with us. So the coffee personalities, once a week, every Thursday, coffee with Will, coffee with Janine, coffee with Bart, coffee with Christina, coffee with Angie, coffee with Nathan. The coffee, we got good coffee, but then we took a little break in January and February where we presented to you guys a 7-webinar series on strategic planning for 2021. And of course, the coffee will start again. Yay. All right. But look, during this very difficult time, HADS partners, faculty, mentors, and administration did an amazing job with highest ever numbers. So 126 clinical webinar hours were delivered with 1,890 attendee hours attending these events. Total number of courses held, 23. 69 teaching days in the middle of the pandemic. We had 19 people that achieved EMG diploma statuses, 12 graduated the entire program, and we got 7 of you who finished their MSK fellowships. I mean, this is amazing in the middle of a year with a pandemic. Really very well done. And of course, our 2020 ECS board certification success rate was 90%. One person didn't pass it by a few points. So a little reminder to all of you. What are the purposes of HATS? When we established HATS, we established it with 4 distinct purposes, and those purposes never really changed. The first one was and is for the profession to create a truly autonomous physical therapy practice by advancing the physical therapist as the provider of choice for electrophysiological, neuromusculoskeletal, ultrasound imaging, and vestibular testing technologies. The second purpose of HATS is about you and your patients, to help you or partner colleagues to offer valuable diagnostic testing to your patients and your community, to help thousands of people and generate significant additional revenues for your business. To our partner MDs out there, to furnish them with reliable testing services for their patients, to help them improve their practice image, financial status, and help their patients. And finally, we're in the forefront of research in the area by creating, supporting, and conducting research that provides the necessary evidence for the proper application and utilization of these testing technologies. So these are our purposes. And for 2021, 2022, we have 5 distinct goals. These are, number 1, your business expansion, to help you to expand your business, to help you attain financial affluence through diagnostics, to continue improving your clinical competence, to help your corporate foundation structure and the stability of your staffing, especially those involved in diagnostics. These are our 5 goals for the next 2 years. And those 5 goals will be achieved by putting emphasis, by putting focus in 4 areas. 1 is through strategy. 2, through branding and marketing. 3, through delivery of service. And 4, through putting emphasis in your profitability, in your profit. So as far as I am concerned, I'm planning, with the help of Costas and Craig, this weekend, our presentations and involvement to address these 4 areas. So this morning, we're going to address strategy, branding and marketing, and delivery. And tomorrow afternoon, it's going to be all about finances. So the first thing I will address is a few concepts. Oh, actually, let's do something real quick. Let's just take only a 5-minute sitting break while our staff will deliver to you a handout where you guys will have in front of you to take some notes. The handout is in 2 boxes. So start thinking though, because the question is, based on the 5 goals of HATS, if you can take a moment and list your 5 goals. So just take a quick moment, and those of you who are attending online, if you go to the code that we gave you, you're going to find there this handout. So just list very quickly, like, what are your five top goals for your diagnostic business that you see you would like to achieve in 2021 and you can achieve 2022. Now, these 5 goals don't have to be total perfection right now. Neither I'm going to ask you right now to share anything about that, because later on, you guys are going to go to your mastermind groups and you're going to do a similar exercise, but you can use this as a little guide. So during your mastermind groups, you can further develop this. All right. So you guys got that? Okay, so you can complete it also later on. But the first thing I want to start with, I will talk a little bit about strategy. Okay. And although I'm not going to lay out everything about strategy in this session, because lots of it will be happening in the next several months in meetings with you guys, I want to give you the general concept about strategy. So the whole idea is the creation of ideal HADS-approved diagnostic centers. Okay, so ideal HADS-approved diagnostic centers, and I will define that precisely, what that means. So I'm going to define, first of all, what ideal means. Okay, so I want you to pay attention to the first definition, a standard of perfection. And I want you to look also at the second definition, one regarded as exemplifying an ideal and often taken as a model for imitation. Okay. Now, in the definition of an ideal HADS-approved diagnostic center, both definition 1 and definition 2 both apply to some degree. Each of them has a place. We are talking about the standard of perfection, and at the same time, we are also talking about something that can be used as a model for imitation. Okay? So think about this, that once somebody just joins HADS, all right, upon the signing of your franchise agreement, you become a HADS-approved diagnostic center. Just the signing of that makes you a HADS-approved diagnostic center, but that is not really yet an ideal HADS-approved diagnostic center. How can you be an ideal HADS-approved diagnostic center when you have 0 patients the first day you start? You got the point? So let's see then, what are the characteristics of an ideal HADS-approved diagnostic center? It is a center whose owners or staff delivers EMG, NCS, MSK-US, and other diagnostic testing based on the teachings and protocols of the HADS organization. 2, is highly regarded as a competent diagnostic testing specialist who cares for patients and referral sources and is sought after by the community for the testing services. He has implemented the HADS business model as described in the HADS roadmap and as applicable to their area of practice. And 4, fully agrees that conditions in business and in life can improve, and that we as individuals and as a group are responsible and take action to improve such conditions. So these are the 4 characteristics that when someone can achieve this sense of an ideal HADS diagnostic center. Okay? So now, the question then is, how do we get there? What are the tools we have to get us to this ideal status? So there are some tools that you already know and some tools that are new and we will be introducing right now. So the first tool, which you know it already, is the HADS Partner Roadmap. It's the roadmap. The roadmap is a step-by-step guide with 10 different phases that tells you what are the steps and the milestones you have to reach to achieve, to move towards that status. As a matter of fact, yes, Lisa, we heard you. Your message was loud and clear that that very long, flimsy roadmap was not really sitting well in your bookcase. So for that reason, we changed the shape. And actually, please allow us from the HADS board to give you the first signed copy of the roadmap. All right. So, okay. And that was the Leadership Academy. That's it. We're done. I can take off my jacket. We gave that to Lisa. All right. So now the roadmap, as I said, provides is more of a guide. And it is a general guide that applies to any HADS partner, okay? But the roadmap does not give you instruction. It doesn't give you the significant know-how information to achieve that state. So for that reason, and with the recommendation and guidance of the HADS Business Advisory Board, in the first week of April, you guys will be receiving a set of 3 manuals. That would be a HADS Partner Business Operation Manual, a Marketing and PR Manual, and an Insurance and Billing Manual. Yeah. And so you have your roadmap, which is the step-by-step approach, and then you will have your 3 manuals, which are knowledge-based binders that will be updated. On the one hand, updated all of these things in real time on FranchiseSoft, but also we will be sending you, let's say, copies. We changed page 67 on that manual, take it out from the binder, put the new page. So you will always have an updated hard copy and an updated soft copy inside FranchiseSoft. All right, hold on a second now. We got the idea about a roadmap that applies to everyone. We got the 3 operational manuals, but Bill's practice is not the same as Cram's practice, and definitely not the same as Dan's practice here in Florida. These practices are very unique. They are very different than each other. So we have to do something about that to cater not only from a general point of view, but at a very specific individualized point of view for that specific diagnostic practice in Florida or in Alaska or wherever it is. So for that reason, we are creating the HADS Ideal Score and the annual HADS Partner Strategic Plan. Let me explain to you what that is. We consider that Kostas and I right now have an ideal HADS organization, or almost ideal, I would say. You know, ideal, let's put it this way. Ideal is not just one thing. It's not like you say, I can be ideal only when I am 100. Thank God, it's not like that. Ideal is a zone. It's like an area of being ideal, and you always become better and better and better. Thank God. Imagine if you reached it. Gosh, I never want to do that, at least not yet. Because at that point, the game stops. The game ceases to exist, right? Once you win it and it's done, then it's done. There's nothing else to be won. So we want to be working towards it and improving it always, at least for as long as we want it to continue being a game. You get the point? So we looked that there are 10 different areas that if somebody takes care of these 10 different areas for their individual practice, they can be ever closer in that area of ideal. So those have to do first with executive areas like establishment, structure, planning. Did you get to the point already to have a second separate diagnostic testing company, or everything still happens under your general PT practice? Operations. Do you have already policies, procedures, and following the roadmap? Do you really, HR, designate time for your staff to do diagnostics? Do you have a separate organizational board just for diagnostics? Do you even have a separate bank account for diagnostics, or everything goes into the same PT account? What is the competency level? Where are you standing with training, mentoring, certifications? Have you developed fully your in-house business? What is the status of your outside business? Your PR, your marketing, expansion. What is the level of your profitability? How about compliance and asset protection for your diagnostic business? And finally, what is your attitude towards continuing to improve your willingness level, you and your staff, your participation even in improving the profession? You know, it's not only all about me. Here it's, the world is bigger than just us, right? So those are 10 areas. So each one of you will be receiving an electronic questionnaire with a set of questions that they will be referring to these 10 areas, and you're going to be doing this in an annual basis. And you're going to be filling out your survey. that will be creating your HADS ideal score. Then, based on your HADS ideal score and the status on each of these 10 areas in your practice, there will be a HADS ideal annual plan that will be created, and you are going to be meeting with a member of the HADS board, the executive CEO, or even we define mechanisms how through your, how do we call them, your groups? Your mastermind groups, to discuss this and develop it. So you're going to be receiving your own individualized annual HADS partner strategic planning. So now, not only you have a general roadmap, not only you have operation manuals, you have a numerical value to show you where you are standing in your progress towards ideal, and an annual individualized plan to help you reach the status of your ideal HADS approved diagnostic center. And that is the value of belonging, of being part of the HADS family. Any questions on this, on anything that I covered thus far?
How are we going to be communicating with you? Weekly basis, monthly basis? How are we going to?
So the questionnaire is a questionnaire you're going to be taking once a year.
Okay.
Then there's going to be a plan that will be developed based on the questionnaire. And then in terms of the implementation of that plan, on the one hand, yes, you're going to be meeting the same way we have right now, the 1 or 2 strategy meetings with a member of the board. That will still continue. And then we are hoping to have you guys through the mastermind groups being able to continue helping each other in implementing these as much as possible. The specifics in terms of how frequently these meetings will be and all that, that still needs to be discussed. And we're hoping that through your mastermind groups together the next 2 days, you'll be able to get enough suggestions and recommendations and requests to the business advisory board, so then we can craft this exactly the way it's needed and wanted. Okay?
There's a question online. When do we think this might start?
First of all, the manuals, they're going to be received by the practices within the first week of April, first week of the second quarter. And the survey for this, it will be out by the 15th of March. So we're going to start working on your individualized annual plans right after that.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions on this? Good. Who likes this idea so far? Let me see hands. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Good to know. All right. So the next area we're going to get to is branding and marketing. Okay. So, and I'm going to have, first of all, the first person who's going to present in this area is the CEO of HADS, Craig Ferreira, who will discuss with you what branding is all about. So please welcome Craig.
We're scheduled to take a break in 15 minutes. Do you want to do that now? Or
You guys want to take a break?
Hold on a second. Is food coming or no in this break? Nelly, is food coming?
We're putting it out right now. It's just snacks, just a little bit of granola bar.
So it's out there? You guys want to take it now? You can take it.
Setting it up now. They're setting it up now.
Okay, well, how long is your presentation?
About 2 hours. Why don't I start and then I'll stop in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
How's that?
No.
We're scheduled for 15 minutes before the break. I didn't know how long we were going.
15-ish.
Yeah, 15's fine.
Great. Yeah, yeah. Cool.
All righty.
And
What do I do?
the button moves this like this on the right,
Okay, good.
just the right spot.
How y'all doing?
Very good.
Okay, good. That's awesome. I'm going to be 15 minutes. I'm Craig. I know most of you. I think a third of the partners in HODS were from my consulting company, Survival Strategies, which I have out in California, although I just moved here. How's that? I like it here. So I've been very busy, having a lot of fun, and been in your profession for a very long time. I know some of you, I don't know all of you. I've been meeting some of you in a new unit of time. So, but to cut to the chase here, because this is about you, not me, I'm going to go over some concepts of branding. And I'm not a branding expert. That's not my particular scene. But one of the things I do know is that the first thing you need to understand about anything is the definition of the term. Would you agree? Okay, so, but the first thing we're going to do before we do that, because my style of doing this is I like you to do something too. I want you to tell the person next to you what you consider your brand is currently. We'll see how that goes. Go ahead.
Branded is so
Done? Done? I know you can spend more time on it. How did that go? Good? Everybody, well, we've still got a few people there. By the way, just as a secondary win here, if you don't mind, I like sharing wins. This past year for Survival Strategies, for instance, has been the best year we've ever had, even through COVID, which is great, which is really great. One of the reasons for that, just so you know, is we're helping pediatric professions now, big time. And I love this profession, right? Because of what they do with the kiddos, they call them. So it's just been a tremendous thing. While we still do adult PT too. We've divided it now between kiddos and adult PT. How's that? All right. So now the next thing I'd like you to do, because I brought my little notes here. Somebody just give me a concept. Who understands the definition of the term brand? Okay. Well, then we're going to get right to it because I'm going to ask you. Now, this concept has a lot of connotations to it. There's many parts, by the way. Now, what I do is I like to study something, and I like to start with what is the basic definition. So I'm just going to read these off, and I think you have these slides. If you don't, we'll give them to you. But it's a collection of symbols, experiences, and associations connected with a product, a service, a person, or any other artifact or entity. Let's go through that again. It's a collection of symbols, experiences, and associations connected with a product, a service, a person, or any other artifact or entity. Now, the examples of these I have in a whole other thing, but that would take us an hour to 2 hours to get through. So I just want to get you the definition. Is that okay? Okay. So, gee, can we see these? Good. What are the symbols? That'd be your logo, your graphics, your color scheme, your dress code, the physical layout of your location, your awards and certificates. Symbols. These things all have to be consistent as well, right? The experiences, your administrative service, speed and quality, your patient delivery, quality and results, that intangible feel at your practice due to its staff and presentation. These are found out by surveying your patients to get their experience in their words. It's a very, very important thing. Yes.
Nowadays, we talk a lot about culture. Do you think
Sure.
experiences could be
Totally.
equivalent to culture?
Absolutely. Experiences. What is the experience that somebody has with your company? Is the point. You follow? What is the thing that you're presenting? For instance, in You know what the Body Shop is? Women here don't know what the Body Shop is?
I do, sir. I love the great.
Huh?
I do, sir.
Okay. The Body Shop was a winning thing that had women's products. This woman was completely intelligent. She never paid one dime for marketing, but she tagged up her associations, which is in the definition, with non-animal testing products. You follow? And went on TV and was able to connect up with those activities that are against animal testing because her products didn't have any animal testing in it. She sold her company for about 50 million bucks. She started in her garage in England, right? She really, really applied this thing. But her speed and quality and delivery and all that stuff was all based on the product quality. You've never heard of this company? Okay. Now you got it. Are we going too fast or are we okay? Okay, good. Successful branding. Now this is a concept here. Successful branding program is based on the concept of singularity. It creates in the mind of the prospect the perception that there is no product on the market quite like your product. Who has that in their practice? Good, good, good. Who doesn't have that in their practice? Just for, no? Yeah, you got it, okay. Good, that's cool. How does that apply to HODS? What's the singularity of HODS? Yeah, it's got a singularity. This is completely stellar, frankly speaking. This is the only place where you can get this, to tell you the truth. Your difference, what makes your product service stand out, what makes you different, special, better, or separates you from your competition. Now, once again, there's a lot of theory here. You'd have to really, really break this down, which we're not going to be able to do here, but you'd have to really break this down into your particular practice and checklist it and go through these items and create it. Be kind of fun, right? To do. Hey, they're going to get these slides? Okay, good. A brand leader. Now here's the other thing. The brand leader, that brand of product service in the field of similar product services that is recognized as a leader due to any number of factors, including superior quality, availability, amount of sales, or public opinion. You'd like to be there, and many of you already are. And I like this one here. A great brand adds a greater sense of purpose to the experience. Whether it's the challenge to do your best or the affirmation that drinking coffee really matters. Who killed this, of course, was Starbucks. They created an entire experience and culture, which is very, very, very cool. And I think that that's it for me, my gosh. That's just some basics of what branding is. I hope that helps. I think I stuck to 15 minutes and I actually did 7 minutes. Are there any questions? Anything at all? Yes.
Could you go on for a couple more hours?
Absolutely, we could. We could do this. I love it. We could do it all day, but it's not what we're doing here, but we could do another meeting on this. Yes.
Yeah, I remember listening to a speaker, and it always stuck with me that he mentioned, if you're going to be a leader, you've got to be one of three things. Either you got to be the first market, you got to be the cheapest, or you got to be the best.
Right.
And so you have to pick one of those and go with it.
Absolutely.
If you be one, then you focus on the other.
But if you're the first, that's the best thing you could ever be, by the way. Anyway, I could go on. There's a whole bunch of technology here. How much, James, how am I doing? How much time I got left?
Another 10 minutes or
10 minutes.
5.
I mean, you don't have to. I mean,
You know,
if you want to take a
without-
break, we can take a break.
I know you want to take a break.
Greg, I would like to ask you,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, from your experience
Yeah.
with brands.
Yeah.
Could you give some examples other than Starbucks of maybe some physical therapy or medical practices, maybe survival strategies, things that you've done to help develop your brand for a place of like gaining more mass on this
Sure.
content?
The first thing we ever do in this particular area is we get the client to survey their actual patients. A survey like, if you were to tell another about our services, what would you tell them? That's a great branding question. If you would ask your patients, if you were to tell another person about my services to you, what would you say? What would you tell them? The problem with surveys, you always start with surveys, always. Don't sit around and think your brand's in your head. It's not. It's with the people that you service. So that's the first step. With that survey, you're going to come back with some information. You might need to do some more surveys. And you get more in-depth things like, what is the difference in your profession or your practice compared to where they've been before? That's another one. Okay, like they have been other places, but can they tell you any difference that they've had in the experience at your practice compared to any place that they've been before? Those are two key basics. Will, does that?
Yeah, I love that. I'm having all sorts of like realizations on that. Because I'm guessing from what you're saying is like, it's almost like I can't experience my own company's brand because I'm the creator of it. I'm in the forest. I need someone to be outside of that to look and tell me what I don't know about the experience per se. I have assumptions.
Sure.
But so you're saying surveying is a great foundation of creating clarity on what the brand is, maybe the value system.
Totally. I mean, how many stories have you heard of someone that has a great product? You follow? And it's not on the market. History is loaded with that. Well, how come? Well, they didn't know how to brand it, but they didn't survey. You follow? They didn't sit back and go, actually, who would ever need this product? Who would ever want this product? Two different things, right? What's the value of this product? What's the pricing formula of the product, right? How big is the marketplace? I mean, there's a lot of stuff involved in this. Branding includes public relations and marketing. It's an overall kind of umbrella. And there's a ton of technology just in those other areas, which we won't be able to dive into. Go ahead.
So we took did one of the survival strategies programs on branding. And before we went out and took the course, which was 3 days, we had to survey minimally 100 patients, I wrote it down again because we haven't done it in so long, like more than 10 years. But we had to ask them that question and then just write word for word what the patient said. And we also had to survey our physicians. The answers from the patients were completely different. Like the patients, and we were surprised because you would think it's all like, like everybody in physical therapy does hands-on. So it's not even differentiating anymore. But all of our patients, almost every single patient said, the differentiation was the caring. Like they focused much more on the caring, not as much on the clinical aspect of the practice. And so they all said that's what was really different. The doctors all said it was our clinical competence, that we actually get results. So it was really fascinating. And it was a lot of work for us to do. Like we had never done surveying like that. So like just sitting down and asking every patient, that in itself is I wrote it down to do it again.
Good.
I want to share also something.
Yes.
There was a time that several years back when Kostas and I created for hands-on seminars this MCMT program, the Master Certification in Manual Therapy, right? So the program was there. I mean, it was in individual courses, but it wasn't in a package as a certification program. So we did two things at that time. The first one was a survey. So we did send to any of our past students and some non-students, like questions about that would help us to design the program better. But then what we ended up doing was we invited, with an exchange of a coupon for free courses or $100 off, we invited a few of these people to a focus group. And we had like about 2 hours with them where we interviewed them specifically with questions at a different level, above and beyond the survey. So we found that very valuable because, well, the survey gave us very good data, but I think that one of the mistakes we made in that survey, we gave them choices. We gave like, like multiple choice. And it was not, we didn't have enough free text questions. I don't think we had any free text questions. But then when people came to the focus group and they were saying things, we got some realizations a bit different than just like the A, B, C, D answers.
What kind of things did you ask in the focus
The focus group was, okay, so if, which course you would put first and second, and what components you would want to include in that program, in that course, how would you like to be acknowledged? So there were questions that people had the opportunity to talk rather than to choose from a specific set of answers, you know.
You see that is this working here still? We're cool. Thank you, Jimmy, by the way. Still got a couple of minutes. Go.
Yeah, to speak a little bit more to surveys and as I'm working with PT owners, you know, sometimes we get some bright ideas and this is maybe not particular to branding per se, but maybe to the experience, but nonetheless, in talking about surveys and Will and I experienced this in our clinics, you think about, and this comes across PT owners' desks quite frequently, should we open up on Saturdays? Right. You know, and the question that I'll then throw to these owners that I'm talking to is, well, do your patients want to come on Saturdays? And that's the applicability of surveys and the power behind it, because you can do a survey and find out, you might think it's the greatest thing in the world. The patients are going to love it. They're going to flock to you on Saturdays because, yada, yada, I don't have to go to work. But then you do it on your own. You don't even know if there's a demand for that.
Absolutely.
And you staff for it accordingly, and they get upset because their schedules are changing. When all in all, it could be for naught.
Correct.
And so the importance of surveys can really help in that regard in guiding you as an owner to what the patients really want. And that can also guide you as you consider it more and more to talk about experiences like you're talking about. You know, I remember talking to a marketing specialist. He said physical therapists don't understand it, but if they focus on the marketing experience alone and what the patient is experiencing in their clinics, it would triple their marketing efforts.
Absolutely.
Triple their marketing efforts. If they focus specifically on the customer experience, every touch point between the patient and the front desk, the patient and a technician, patient and provider, patient in the billing office. If they focus on improving each of those touch points in that experience, which ultimately results in a brand, the marketing efforts would be tripled.
There's no doubt about it. You see, by the way, there are about 4 or 5 types of surveys. This is another thing people don't quite understand. Multiple choice surveys will get you data, but they don't get you the emotion. You need the emotion, and that's to get the experience, you have to get the emotional involvement of the people that you're surveying. So you've got to elicit out the emotion. There's a needs and wants survey, there's an emotional survey, there's a positioning survey, and there's an opinion leader survey. All of those surveys are different types and they have their own technology to them. So it's quite a subject. Open-ended questions is what you want to use. By the way, that gets you the emotion. Yes and no questions, no. That gets you data. Should we open on Saturdays? You need to know, yes or no. That's cool. But if you can get the emotion, then you can start to create the experience to be even more. Good. Jennifer, yes.
We obviously do a lot of surveys for patients, but then we also do them for doctor's offices. So one of the big barriers that we were going through is why can't we get diagnostics sent to us? So we went through and we surveyed doctors. Well, what are you looking for in, you know, an EMG? Like, who do you send them to? Why do you send them there? I mean, what's the difference between them and us? So we were able to get, you know, the big things, turnaround time. Neurologists sometimes can take a month to get in and then another 6 weeks. So I've spoken with neurosurgeons and I'm like, well, you know the nerves, right? He's like, well, yeah. I was like, okay, well, I'll do the test and give it back to you. Perfect. So I can see this patient next week. And I'm like, absolutely. So, and not only that, whenever I get patients too, you know, and we go through diagnostic testing or even physical therapy outcomes from diagnostic testing, we always get, you know, that verbal survey from the patient and we call it a success story. So we'll take that and with the patient's discharge paperwork, take that back to the doctor and say, this is what we did. You know, if there's anything that you want us to improve on, and we can give them another survey at that point in time. Is there anything with this patient that you ran into an issue that we didn't address or that we didn't help you with? Like not only the patient, but then also the doctor's office communicating and making sure that they're getting what they're wanting out of sending us a patient too. So
good. That's awesome. Everybody has an experience here on this. I think, what am I got, a minute left? Start to wrap? Great. How about I give you one more tool? There is a sequence of events that if you study any successful company, this is what they follow. They do public relations first. They do marketing second, and they do sales and advertising third. And the thing that I've noticed most people do is that they don't do the first step, public relations. What is public relations? Public relations has one definition. It's called good works, well publicized. That's the definition of PR found in the textbook of that profession called Effective Public Relations, written in the 50s. It's a great book if you like to read a textbook. I've read it. It's quite something. Good works, well publicized. But the tool that you want to use for your good works is not you. It says you use third-party endorsements. In other words, in my other company, I talk to people, but I say, I don't want you to talk to me. I want you to talk to my clients. That's the third-party endorsement. Talk to the people I've worked with. You follow me. You're going to hear from me. Of course, I have a bias about my company, but you don't want to talk to me about that. You want to talk to people I've worked with. And we're going for this in the Hodge universe. We need good works from you with your patients and your doctors to get those things publicized so we can up the understanding of the fact that diagnostics needs to go further into this profession, is the point. But you start that with PR. Your marketing is a lot easier if your PR has been done. And sales and advertising is extremely easy if your marketing has been done, but it's based on your PR. You follow? That's the sequence. Yes. Effective Public Relations. Cutlip, I think. It's a textbook. They use it in the university still to this day for training people in PR. You'll love it if you like textbooks. Anything else? Any other questions I can help you with? Hey, how about I got one last message. You folks have a lot of guts. I was telling my partners, I said, you know, this profession here, and even in Hodge, you guys have a lot of, I'll say guts. I was going to say something else, but I won't. So, because you're up against some huge barriers. You follow me? Insurance companies that don't understand what the heck you're doing, that want to keep paying you less money, and on and on and on. And the only way you can ever win, and I know this without a doubt and study your history, is by being an organized group, not an individual. You have to have a group of people to go against the barriers that you're facing. And I think that's about it. I hope that helped. You ready for a break? Go.
What about now?
Yes.
All right, much better. So what happened was that I was thinking about this presentation and looking at our mission statement for our business that I don't remember verbatim. I have to read it. I'm sorry about that. I have the mission inside me, but I don't remember it offhand, but I'm going to read it to you. Okay, so our mission is to furnish, and in glasses, of course, that's another thing. When you get older, you need like extra pockets. I used to make fun with all these elderly guys out there with this huge pocket with layers of items and glasses. I'm one of them now. So the statement is to furnish you, the client, the patient, with reliable physical therapy services, improve your health towards independence. And there is more to it, but the word is independence. So I'm like, okay, what do we do as physical therapists? We try to create that environment of independence, right? You follow me? So I'm like, okay, I gotta learn something more about that. So I went, I Googled, and I found this website, the edx.org. I don't know if you know this, edx.org. It's a platform that a lot of universities from MIT, Harvard, and other universities, they offer online courses. So I was browsing there, and I discovered a course by the name Self-Medicine. Like, oh, that sounds good, self-medicine, something that you can do to help yourself. And by the way, I do recommend the course. It's a beautiful, it will take you a few weeks to a few hours per week to finish that, but very informative. And if you want to, you can get also a certificate by paying $90 or something. Or you don't have to, you just get the information. Very well put together with videos, with some articles, very nice. So anyway, the point is, going through that, I discovered some concepts that I'm gonna go through with you today. So again, let me see where am I right here. Click here. All right, branding, why? So again, a lot of things that we've been talking about, it's recognition, right? That's why we're branding. Another thing, again, glasses, differentiation with the creation of a niche, which is HUDs, by the way. HUDs is your niche right now, right? Or one of them, based on what you do as a business. But then, of course, you add value to your business with HUDs at this point. Another beautiful thing is recruiting benefits. And Bart, you have some stories to give us about getting therapists coming in because of the ability to offer them something so unique. Training with ultrasound, training on electromyography, so you can attract more therapists. And of course, indirect affiliation with 195 facilities in 26 states. Now that's powerful. And especially if you get that center one, the indirect affiliation, if you really close your eyes and you can just start thinking the possibilities of that affiliation, it can be something wonderful. Again, that's future, it's not for now, but just think the possibilities. So that's one of the reason that we do branding. So now, is a brand a consumer-generated brand, or is it a brand speak? And that's the difference. Is it just somebody that talks about how good I am? Oh, I am good. I go to the gym and I know so many things and I want vacation and I'm very interesting, but I'm not very interested in the public, right? So do you create a brand that is interested to the public so you can take them with you, or you just speak about how good you are? So that's a difference. And that's something that hopefully through that presentation, we'll get an idea. So before anything, I'm going to take you through the brief history of medicine from shamanism to science, right? So years ago, what was happening? God played the bigger role in medicine than doctors. Nobody cared about doctors back then. God was the only one to save me, right? So through time, through the years, you went through herbalism, shamanism, trial and errors, that works, that doesn't work. And of course, you have the monarchies back then with no health policy. Public was totally on their own. Live, die, it's your problem, not the monarch problem. So what happened though in 19th century, something wonderful happened then. That was the 1850s when Florence Nightingale, you know Florence Nightingale, right? So she started the concept of nursing. How? Now, she was like a nurse back then, Italian, grew up in Britain, studied in Germany, 1850 now, think about that. So when she was in Germany, there was a war between the British and the Russians in Crimea. So because of a lot of course, unfortunate events of wounded soldiers, right, what you expect back then, they called her to put together a group of 35 nurses now in Germany to go in Istanbul, in Turkey, where the hospital was with all these wounded soldiers, right, to take care of them. Now, 1850, she was able to put 35 nurses together and go down there. I mean, you can think about that. Even now, it's hard to do that. Back then, it was much harder. But anyway, she went there and she managed, guys, to take the 40% death rate down to 4 in 6 months. And what she did, she put the manuscript of 500 pages and sent it to the British government. And since then, we started having policy of what the hospital is supposed to be. About how do you handle patients, how clean the hospital is, and all these items. So that was like a very important date on policy. And then you had Clara Barton, United States. She did the sanitary commissions during the Civil War, very important part in the US. And you move through the germ theory, sterilization, the X-ray machines. And then, of course, 1921, what happened in 1921? American Women's Physical Therapeutic Association, us. In 1921, physical therapy was established. Okay, only women back then, but after a few years, all men also was entered. And of course, pharmaceuticals, they did play a huge role in the 20th century in creating health policy and of course, keeping health in a specific monitor health. So 19th century, you have the policy, biopolitics, right? And in the 80s, a new concept, bioethics. And at the same time, all along, there is care. Why? Because many, many, many years ago, there was a goddess by the name Cura, which in Latin is care. So, and we're gonna touch Goddess Cura soon. So biopolitics, it's about zoe and bios. Zoe is life. It's the fact that you are alive, the mere life, it's zoe. Bios, it is how do we live? It is the policy around our life, right? So biopolitics, what do? It's strategies and mechanisms where basic human biological features become the object of political strategy. Life becomes an object of political knowledge and power. And by the way, you cannot separate knowledge and power. They're always together. You cannot have knowledge without power. You cannot have power without knowledge. So it goes together. Of course, how do you manage that? It's a different story, ethically. And it's treated in statistical terms, aiming to decide what form of life is proper to humans so as to optimize a state of life. And the third aspect, a state of life that is regulated and not disciplined, right? I mean, do we agree with that? COVID-19, it's all that, right? Biopolitics, by the way, it's a big, huge part of what we experience right now. Of course, it's not a unified biopolitics in the whole country. Every state is different, but if you go in Europe, every country has a different idea of how to handle the problem. But biopolitics, it is what determines what we do on a healthcare level. You follow me, right? Yes?
Yep.
Awesome. So now, of course, biopolitics have a dark side, huge dark side. As you can see over there, we know that if we manage those 4 risk factors, which is what? Unhealthy diets, right? Physical inactivity, tobacco use and excess of alcohol. If we manage those 4 things and change that in our public, we're going to be able to decrease by 80% cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. 80%, just those 4 factors, and decrease 1/3 of all cancers. Now, is there any policy out there on that from the government, from the Food and Drug Administration? No. As a matter of fact, FDA has conflict of interest between the public and the conglomerates that supports too. So there is a conflict of interest. So that part, although we know how effective that can be, we do what? I'm not going to say zero, but very few things to take care of that. And of course, the non-communicable diseases are expected to cost the global economy $47 trillion. Now, that's huge. And that's, again, diet and all that, but we, all of us, are aware of how it works on a personal level, but also we see that with our patients, right? All the time, by the way. What about opioids? That's another problem. Biopolitics, the dark side. Opioids, people are dying. Amy said earlier what's happening with that and the responsibility that HUDS has also in minimizing opioids into the public by doing the right thing as HUDS, as physical therapists, and of course, can trickle down to everything else. So this is a very decent expert, and if you take the course, you're going to find that article. It's from the War on Cancer, very nice publication on cancer and the politics and how that started from the Nixon era. But anyway, this guy, Dr. Bernard Lown, 1985 Nobel Peace laureate, central to a market society is the stimulation of wants and artificial needs. The result is the commoditization of everything inside. Doctoring has not been spared. In healthcare, the corporate sector has discovered the ideal commodity. Unlike other commodities, the consumer, qua patient, can never be saved. Every aspect in the human life cycle, every twist and turn in the aging process to the inevitable dissolution and death, every uncomfortable emotion lends itself to medicalization. How sad. The dysfunctionality of healthcare in the United States is no small measure relates to market dominance. That's a very powerful statement. It hurts, actually. And it's true, at least from my universe, my reality as a physical therapist, and I know to most of you, this is real, right? And that needs to be somehow changed. And it can be changed, by the way, right? So, and we're here to change that, by the way. That's my point. So, biopolitics, our home now, right? What happens with PT? We know what PT First does, right? PT First. You did with SSI an amazing campaign years ago on that concept, the idea of physical therapy first, right, Panetta? Correct, right? So that was a very powerful concept. Why? Because we know low back pain cases, right? If they come to us first, we're gonna save, there will be 72% fewer costs within the first year. Come on, the surgeries, no injections, right? No medication. We know that, the system knows that. Is that a policy? No, we're still fighting. Another one, PT and surgery in spinal stenosis cases. They can do the same results, but if you, with physical therapy, you can produce the same results in a spinal stenosis, why are you taking them to surgery? What's the point, right? Another one, direct access versus referral-based care, based care. Same results, of course, but cheaper. We can save money to the system by just having people coming to us first. Again, I know you know that, but it's very important to keep reminding ourselves of what we're capable of doing, how powerful we are, and how all of us together can change a number of things. So now let's go to bioethics. Why? Because we're physical therapists, and what we are as profession, very ethical. Why? Because we're always with the patient. We spend time with them. We're listening. Although we have no time, there's another patient waiting, we're still listening. This is what we do, right? So that's part of bioethics. So the interesting part, of course, with bioethics, it took years to realize the importance of that, okay? So you have the Nazis, right? We know what happened back in the 40s, right? And earlier, 30s. You have the USSR, similar human experiments. And you have then the Japanese Imperial Army doing atrocities on Chinese and Russians back then. And of course, United States, experiments on the military with mustard gases, right? So where's the human factor there? Going to another country and injecting syphilis to see how people are going to react. Sad, right? Radioactive materials in pregnant women. I mean, it goes on and on. This is the latest one because due to COVID and the need to trust the government, that's the one that comes all the time in the news. 1956, injected mosquitoes in Savannah, Georgia, and Avon Park, Florida, with malaria to see how people are going to react. Now, this is all real, guys, documented. It's not something, it's not hocus, it is documented and it's reality. So because of all these experiments, somebody, this guy, he was a priest, Albert Johnson, he said enough is enough. He put that book out there, and 40 years ago, we started calculating bioethics in research. That was in the 1980s, by the way. It's not in the 60s, the 50s. 1980s, we start thinking, you know, before we do a study, let's make sure we're not going to hurt a human or an animal, for whatever it's worth, right? So that's a very recent thing. And of course, bioethics, you can read that. Right now, it handles a number of things. And the last one, which is very interesting, defining and determining death. We're going to that level. Okay, very important, who dies, who lives. Of course, triage, another problem. By the way, triage, right? How many cases right now they went through triage? They have to decide who's going to be on the thank you, on the ventilator, who's gonna die. That's sad. And why there is triage, especially in 2021 or 20, whatever. This is not the 50s, the 40s, and we cannot handle that. Triage nowadays, it's a bad thing, especially when you know when things are coming, right? So it's not what happened down in with the hurricane, where we had the big floods 10 years ago. Yeah, the Katrina. Okay, then you had to do triage because, okay, nobody was expecting that damage. But now, anyway. So, and then we have care. Care is physical therapy or cut the scura. So care, the word care had never emerged as a major concept in the history of medicine, Western ethics, as compared to other concepts, freedom, justice, love, right? So care is the glue of society. Now, I'm going to give you a story here. My glasses, I'm going to play my, there is a river here. Okay. Whatever. The story has, this is a guy who had Zenus there in the first Cuba. So, Cuba was crossing a river. And some mad and went in. So while he was contemplating what to do with the Jews, about, and they're asked to give this creation. Although Zeus cried, that did so, a debate started on whether to here or what there is for arguing. Gaia, that is Earth, comes along. There's a problem. God would show up to solve your problem. So Goddess Earth or Gaia comes there and says, no, wait a minute. And demanded the human being to be named after her, since the magic that the human was made is created by her own body. Okay, right? Yeah, of course. Finally, Kronos. Like Kronos comes along. I said Kronos is characterized by fairness and quality. Kronos, Zeus gave life to human, he will take the soul after death. Right? Good. So, and since Gaia offered her body to create the human, right? And here, or that is Pura, Kronos, of course, named Homo. Latin. Okay. So the moral lesson is that life is death. You're never supposed to take it. No. Isn't true. Okay, so here, biopolitics, bioethics, and care must work together, because if you have only biopolitics, what happens? It can be manipulation, right? As we have seen that through the old experiments. Bioethics alone, it can be what? Aromatic and possible failed concept. Just ethics doesn't do anything, you need some policy. Care alone is what? It can be exhausting. If you try to care about somebody with no ethics or politics or a policy, you die. You can't. It's too much. So now bioethics, biopolitics, care, and HATS, those are the purposes. Okay, and from the purposes there are some highlights like biopolitics. And the point here is HATS. We want to make sure that what we offer to you and to the community out there, to the PT community and to the rest of the community at large, we offer what? An autonomous physical therapy. That's a policy. That's what we want, right? That's the biopolitics of HATS. We want an autonomous physical therapy or a physical therapist. So then bioethics, valuable diagnostic services. It's an ethical thing. Doing the right test, knowing how to do the right test, studying for hours and hours and hours and hours. Both of these tests, the ultrasound and the electromyography, it took a lot of energy, right? But you did it. So that's an ethical thing to do. You learn, you perform. And then, of course, you have care, help thousands of people. And again, you can go across that purpose and you can see those three very important aspects in part of our purposes as HATS. So biopolitics, bioethics, care, and HATS branding. HATS is in a mission to influence the current biopolitics. Would you agree with that? Yes. Yes? So HATS is in a mission to help PTs to become competent diagnostic testing specialties. That's bioethics. And CARE has an mission to prevention and management of self-medicine. Again, it's a nice concept, get into that and help people to become independent and be able to manage their lives, which is what we do. So HubSpot brand, the consumer-generated brand, the tipping point. This is from Malcolm Gladwell. Who knows Malcolm Gladwell, right? All of us, right? So he's like an awesome writer, author. He writes books. He's like a journalist. And he has a lot of books on social economics or behavioral economics, okay? So all his books, and one of them is the tipping point. And there is this paragraph there. Tipping points are the phenomenon that perceives change before it becomes a norm, right? Tipping points depend heavily on people with a set of rare social gifts. So guess who are such people, guys? You are the ones that are causing that tipping point, by the way, who are at that verge right now with the concept of HUDs, with your dedication in learning and using policy, ethics, and CARE to change the profession, which is our goal. Okay. Thank you. However, there is more. Trivia time. Did you know that physical therapy, based on Forbes, is the 9th, it's one of the 10 happiest professions, ranks 9. Physical therapists were the happiest professionals out there. But the most important part, the number one, let's read that, get it from there. You know, who knows Tinder? Because I don't. I'm not supposed to know Tinder. I have no idea. But Tinder, if you're looking for the other half, you go to Tinder. So users of dating app Tinder swipe right on women who were physical therapists more than any other profession. Number one. Interesting. Pilots, number one, I'm sorry. But we're still up there. Physical therapists are up there, men, but pilots are the number one in the male population. But number one are physical therapists. Well, whatever, it's trivia. You can take it and use it anywhere you want to use it. Thank you very much, guys. I gotta take care of that. We need some policy of the mic, of how to have the mic. Ethically.
Yeah, let's stay here. Switch it. Thank you. All right. Okay. Wow. Pretty amazing data so far. So we got not even breathing, for God's sake. Electric. I'm an electrician. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. All right, so we got the what is branding. We got the whole concept from Kostas in terms of how the purposes of HUDs evolve into the area and materialize through branding. So from the very beginning, when we started doing, trying to brand HUDs for the benefit of each one of you guys, we used whatever technologies we knew and whatever resources we had available to us. So many of you are familiar with this up here, the top Hands-On Diagnostics logo. Most of you are up to now familiar with this Hands-On Diagnostics Approved Diagnostic Center logo. And just last year, we decided actually to really invest significantly in the branding of the organization and your branding. And this is when we engaged into a relationship of 919, which is one of the 3 top branding, marketing, PR enterprises in the United States in the franchise space. What we did, we invited today the president and CEO of 919 to talk to you, introduce to you some concepts, and give you a little bit about the science of how some things were developed and how many more things are in the development stages and will be launched in 2021 and 2022. So please help me welcome Mr. David Chapman. Let's stop sharing here and we're gonna let's pin up. David, hello.
Hello there. Hello, everyone.
Okay, we need to put more volume here. So thank you for joining us, David, and you are on.
Would you like me to share my screen? James, are you having me share mine? Okay. All right.
That would be awesome.
All right. Let's do that. All right. All right. Does everybody, I'm trying to make sure you see the right screen. Let's see. Do you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay. Well, again, thank you very much for having me there. I enjoyed the last presentation. I've been sort of, sitting in the last virtual seat watching you guys, and certainly I've enjoyed it so far. I'm super excited to be here and be able to tell you of what we've done. As Damian talked about, my company is 919 Marketing. We're in Raleigh, North Carolina. We're a national content marketing firm, working with over 75 brands. And my background is from many years ago. Branding is really one of my passions in marketing. And as you can see, what our slogan, our tagline is, we tell your brand stories to the world. And we use a variety of methods to do it, branding being a central component to, in my opinion, the success of every brand. So what I'm going to cover today is I'm going to sort of take you through what is branding, what I think the benefits of branding are, the branding challenge that we faced, the process we went through, the outcome that you guys have probably seen in some way, the positioning line, how we put together the positioning line and a logo together, and then sort of where we are now and what it's sort of where we're at now and how we're able to sort of use all that hard work to be able to make things much better, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and go through that. Okay, so first thing I'll say is branding can be quite painful, especially for cattle, as we've noticed. But also, I will say this, branding is not the 9th happiest profession. It is very hard. As everyone who worked with us will attest, I mean, it's a process that if you do it right, it's very hard. It takes a lot of time. And, to the earlier point, I mean, it's critical that we not only come up with ideas, but we validate those ideas with the people that control your destiny, and that is your customers. So we included them in this quite dramatically. And so what is branding? Branding is really a combination of name, term, symbol, design that identifies the company and its services and differentiates you from your alternatives. I like to think of it in a little bit more tangible way of it's almost like the suit of clothes that we wear. It has to fit you. It has to sort of project the right image. It has to reflect the right image to the people that you want to influence. And really, that's what effective branding is. There are really sort of four common pillars, that you probably noticed in your everyday life that you maybe didn't even think about at the time. But, for one, attributes is a very popular way of sort of driving brand strategy, where you have a phrase or tagline that gets attached to the product that's an attribute oriented statement. Also, benefits are a very, very viable way to go, where you put product attributes that must provide functional benefits. I mean, Volvo's, I think we all know, whether you own a Volvo or not, that Volvo has a certain focus on safety. Michelin tires, same kind of way, where they've done a good job of over time branding their company around one central theme, which is safety. Also, values, they're an important way to look at also branding your product, linking your product to the lifestyle professional values of your customers. But again, I'll go back to the thing I just said, which is personality. We've got to reflect a clear personality. People choose products, services that match perceptions of their own personality. So it's got to be something that not only, to the point earlier, that we like, but it's got to be something that your customers have shown to like as well, and to be able to be a motivating factor for them. And we did that. All right, the benefits. The benefits are a lot. I mean, if you look at brand valuation, a consistent brand, a compelling brand can in fact make things happen in a very big way. You look at brand value research estimates of some brands that we all know as a percentage of their market cap. Coca-Cola 19, FedEx 18, Microsoft 18, odds to be determined, but I can assure you that this increases brand value for all of you as a result of doing what we're talking about, what we've done for you today, and where we're going to take it from here. All right, the Hod's Branding Challenge. I think that Demi touched on it a second ago, but I'll just sort of go touch it as well. And that is, what we saw as the brand challenge is that brand disintegration. The fact that you had different logos, you had different sort of colors, and this happened over time, obviously. We see it quite often in brands that have multiple tentacles to it, where over time you get disintegration of, where you don't have one central brand vision. And now you do, which I'll show you in a second. Never fails. Every time I get on the presentation, I get a phone call. All right. So the Hod's branding process. How do we do what we're talking about here? Well, we have a very defined process. We've used this with well over 100 companies, including the Rosetta Stone. And the process is where we define the target audiences, we identify purchasing triggers, we do intense competitive analysis, we do attributes, positioning audits, we identify gaps, then we test potential positionings, then we do a brand selection, and we do this all through research. So, we have your target audiences. Now let me just, while we're here today talking about obviously the consumer side of it, we had to make sure that this covered whatever it was, whatever the platform we came up, had to work in every potential channel that Hod's, the parent company, operates in. So you have to think about it. It's a multi-dimensional chess game in some ways. So then we had to figure out what are the purchasing triggers and sort of how do we latch onto those and communicate those through our brand development. The outcome, which we're super excited about, I'll tell you how we got to there. We did research-informed decisions. We did not just come up with some ideas, present them to a few people and say, here we are. We came up with multiple ideas. We called the ideas down to 3 to 5. We talked to consumers, a lot of them. When I say consumers, I mean patients, to find out what did they think. Give us your honest opinion. So we did online surveys to be able to determine from a research perspective, what is the best solution for us? And we tested a naming hierarchy, then we tested a slogan, then we tested a logo. So we basically tested 3 different things. So we came up with a consistent naming architecture. We came up with a tagline that combines heart and head. When I say heart and head, I mean, it has a rational component to it. It also has an emotional underpinning, which in my mind, every great brand needs to have an emotional underpinning, and you guys have it. New corporate identity that spans all channels, which I'd mentioned earlier. And we've also developed a brand standards manual that I'll show you in a second to ensure brand consistency, because well, it's great to have a new brand, but if you let it disintegrate, then you've lost the effectiveness of it. So we've put together a brand standards manual that allows anyone at any time to know exactly how to use the brand the proper way, whether it's a sign, whether it's a letterhead, whether it's whatever the case may be. We're going to have one version of the truth from now until we change it, because that way we've got a playbook for everyone to use. All right, so the positioning line. As you may have seen this, maybe not, but I mean, the positioning line that won, and it won resoundingly, was the tagline, "Healing hands guided by technology." As I'd mentioned on the last slide, the heart and the head, to me, this is has a really strong emotional underpinning of healing hands. That's really what, the essence of what you guys have. You have the magic of the healing hands, but it's guided by technology. So it's the sort of the 1-2 punch of what makes you guys special. And so, but it also had to work across all the different sides of the company, hands-on companies, hands-on diagnostics, PT, et cetera. And so we made sure that it worked across all channels, but that it was research validated with your patients. And so how do we put it all together? Well, that's how it all came together. We tested 3 different logo options with a large sample size of people. And again, this is the one that won, and it was resoundingly most popular. It was the one that really checked all the boxes in terms of, is it motivational? Is it clear? Does it position the company in a way? And we would give them a description of the company if they didn't know who you were, to be able to make sure that this embodies who the company is, what your vision is, and really what your special sauce is, which is this healing hands guided by technology. And so we arrived at this logo and this tagline and integrated it, as you see here. And we're very, very excited about it. I think it's a terrific look. It has a lot of great sort of intrinsic value and a lot of sort of emotion behind it as well. But it also plays to the technology that you guys all go to market with. So to me, it's the sort of the 1-2 punch that I mentioned earlier. And so how does it look across all the different channels? As I mentioned earlier, we wanted to make sure that it was ubiquitous, that it was a one sort of look across any channel that a consumer, someone might come in contact with hands-on. So you see what it sort of looks like as a brand family. As you recall the previous slide where I showed you the disintegration slide, where you had different logos, different colors. This way it's all tied together. It's under one brand family. So what now? As I mentioned, so we have a branding standards manual put together. It's very comprehensive. And again, it allows all of us, as we move forward, to make sure that whatever we do, this is the touchstone to make sure that whatever you're doing has to fit these guidelines, so that we're all doing the same thing, building the brand the correct way, nourishing the brand the correct way, and being able to use the power of the brand in a consistent basis moving forward. So that's where we are today. And this, again, this spins out into advertising, email marketing, every possible marketing channel that you can imagine. This will guide all of that. So now we've got one version of the truth that we push out, no matter where we are, no matter who we're talking to, no matter what platform it is. We have a consistent look, consistent communication, and that's the way great brands are built. And so, I commend Debbie and the executive team for, putting the time in with us. This was not where we went off, had our magic little, formula, came back and said, here it is. I mean, it was a team effort. Everybody in senior management was actively involved in this, asked very hard questions, and we arrived at a winner. So we're super proud of it. We know this is going to position you in an appropriate way with your patients. And, that's really where we are today. And again, the future is super exciting, because, as I mentioned, this is really what the platform is, and everything that we do in the future from a marketing perspective, will be launched from this.
All right. Thank you, David, so much. Appreciate the presentation. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Can we go to my presentation? So, yes,
So you mentioned a branding manual, is that?
so let me talk about that. So there is an actual, Costa, can you just, there is an actual branding manual that gives you the technical guidelines, gives all of us the technical guidelines on using the logo and the tagline. Inside this Google file, you're going to find it, but also it will be inside the manual everybody is going to receive. Now, this is going to provide, it's providing tremendous details down to the numerical value of the color that has to be used if you go to your printer to do your own business card, and how to use that logo, what is the exact wording, what's the tone, what's this. It has details where that logo has to be in relation to your personal logo. It's very detailed so that there is consistency in the brand, designed and created by experts. Okay. I just want to show you also, you guys got this bag of goodies, right? Got this, isn't this cool? Oh my goodness, I loved it. It was, I mean, Nelly, great job, girl. You got your mask. So.
By the way, that color is 004750.
There you go. So you got your mask, use it as appropriate. We're responsible. We got your sanitizing kit. You got also, guys, here not only a little nice bag for you to use, but also for now at least, you received a small, decal, a nice little decal thing for the window. Okay, so this is a tiny little thing that we just wanted to hand over to you, that it's easy to transport it, you know, inside your bag, back to wherever you're traveling. But you are going to receive soon in a tube or in a large envelope, a much larger sign like this, where you can display outside of your practice. There will be a whole bunch of things that are coming up. You're gonna have this outside your practice. We're gonna stage in your practices a grand opening. You're gonna stage pictures with you outside, welcoming patients and stuff like that. There's gonna be a lot of video materials pushing out the brand. One of the reasons why, the main reason actually, why the McGilvrays are not in this event is because they have this afternoon and tomorrow a video crew video taping them in their practice doing diagnostics, and it's going to be something in the series of the daily life of a HADS franchisee. So, and this will involve many of other practices will evolve to do that. There are other things that you're going to see very soon happening, including an exposure of HADS at the Forbes magazine. We're working right now with the Forbes Business Council to get us published the concept of HADS in Forbes. So you see that what we are trying to do is to expose out there the brand of HADS, which you guys are it, in the both in the patient and physician communities, but also in the business community, because that increases also the value of your franchise, the money value of your franchise. When, let's say in the future, when my friend Roy reaches the age of 164 years old and he decides his exit strategy, that increased brand value of HADS will offer significant multiples in his exit strategy. So very exciting stuff. You're going to have a lot of B2B opportunities, business-to-business opportunities with physicians and other healthcare providers for the development of outside business, but also in-house satellite businesses. There's a difference between these two things. I can elaborate very quick definition. The definition of HADS of an outside practice, outside business, is when the physician or other healthcare provider does the billing. The definition of an in-house satellite business is when you are in a physician's or other provider's clinic, you pay rent and you do the billing. That is still considered in-house, but in-house satellite business. Okay, you're going to get your market. We have already online videos, and these will be increasing. You will have your marketing manual. We're going to be doing a couple of boot camps that will include the concept of marketing. And Nelly is in the middle of revamping all of the brochures and flyers and other materials that you have available inside FranchiseSoft with the new branding, with the new logos, where the only thing you'll have to do is just change in that template your name, change insert also the logo of your business and the name of your business, and be able to print it either with your own printer or with the printer that we have online. And remember, your diagnostic business is not a standalone, just little clinic. You are part of a larger organization with a medical advisory board and a huge credibility. This is what we've been trying to establish. We're going to ask you, and we'll talk about that in some of the panels, we'll ask you also to become accredited laboratories, okay? Accredited electrodiagnostic laboratories. These accredited electrodiagnostic laboratories will be recognized. This is my prediction. These will be recognized soon by Medicare as those approved laboratories for electrodiagnostics. As a matter of fact, there is a whole communication right now behind the scenes between AA and EM, who they have been against us, right? There's a whole communication and discussion behind the scenes right now for AA and EM to make amends finally with the physical therapy community and be inclusive of us. So, B2C opportunities, business to consumer. A strong brand generates referrals. The HADS approved diagnostic centers website, the EMG Test Near Me or Find Best PT. In 2020, for the whole year, we only got 1,528 people that landed on the EMG Test Near Me website. This year alone, until a week ago, January and half of February, we had 514 people who landed on our website because of the work we are doing right now with social media exposure, blogging, and other efforts. And in our affiliation with MPR, Medical Patient Referrals, all the HUDs franchisees, they had 3,123 leads, 1,329 patients were scheduled, and that was a lead scheduling rate of 42.56%. And there were 552 patients that actually seen, which is a pretty good number. So all of these efforts will be continuing. There will be future events with templates for marketing, press releases. And we're announcing also that those of you who are clients of Breakthrough, Chad Madden, now it is available to you through Breakthrough free of charge. The funnel, a HUD's funnel. In other words, a funnel, right now the rotator cuff funnel has been upgraded to include HUDs. So if you do have a rotator cuff funnel, all you need to do is call them up, switch it to the HUDs rotator cuff funnel, and you're going to have the diagnostic testing exposure in that funnel, which is, so we're trying, as you see, to really reach out in multiple avenues and ways, and we will continue doing that because that's what needs to happen for things to get even better. All right, any questions about all this? Yes.
My question is, digital marketing is kind of hard for us. Just we live in the Wild West, and I don't know, some people just don't just in my own. But do you have like what's plans for like an analog platform, like postcards, things like that?
Yeah, that is actually the easiest part. Like the same way we have all of these brochures and posters and stuff like that. We'll create those postcards also, and even I don't know if you guys know Neil Trickett. He does newsletters and stuff like that. We have worked with Neil over the past several months, and some of newsletters have included things about diagnostic testing. We'll continue developing that type of content, and we'll make available that to you guys, for.
There'll be a little bit more to share when we get into our breakouts. Specifically, what I want to do is, instead of a lot of talking,
Hold on.
do a lot of listening about what's going on in each of your individual markets. So that's it.
Okay, so she would like to get more listening about what happens in your individual markets also through the
Right, so that we can tailor a
breakout
plan,
sessions.
tailor a plan that meets your needs.
Awesome.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I can talk loud. So your
Use the
HUDs.
microphone for the people.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
because there are
sorry.
people who are online.
And maybe everybody else knows the answer to this, I don't know, but is your HUDs program available only to PTs?
Yes, the HUDs program, the HUDs company allows someone to join HUDs only if the owner of the company is a physical therapist, or if a physical therapy company is owned, let's say, by an investor, that the physical therapist is member of the board of that company. Okay, let's say that I'm not a physical therapist, I'm an investor, but I believe in this business. In order for me as an investor to be able to even engage into HATS, I have to have as my board member and director for that business a licensed physical therapist. Otherwise, you cannot join HATS. Yeah. All right. Anything else right now on this? Okay, so I talked to you guys about strategy, right? We talked about the HIS HATS ideal score. We talked about the different manuals you guys are going to get to try to get to the ideal HATS approved diagnostic center. We talked about branding and the marketing efforts we're going to be doing. And the next thing has to do with delivery. So how do we deliver things to you and how we will be delivering things to you? So I want to mention a few advancements that have taken place already, and a few of them will be finishing within the next couple of weeks in the mentorship portal. So let's say you have several physical therapists, each of you, who are part of the program. In the past, only the therapist would be able to log into the portal under them. Now we have created an owner's login. So you are going to receive a login as an owner, and there is a dashboard where you are able to see each one of your therapists, how many reports they have submitted, how many reports they have been reviewed on EMG, on ultrasound. You're going to be able to see on the dashboard what courses have been completed by the therapist, what courses are not completed yet, like a student record. You're going to be able to go and say, hey, you know what? This therapist need to, I want them to get an extra mentorship day because they need some more mentorship work. You'll be able to go online, buy the mentorship day, assign it to that therapist. Those of you who are not on flat rate and you pay separately for report reviews, you will have to, you can go buy report reviews, assign them to a therapist. There will be an online student, there is an online student record now where we keep record online for everybody. And there's a new tab on resources. So new articles, new developments, and all that stuff. A mentor is able to upload them to the student, and the therapist can go and study these articles, communicate back with the mentor. So that's a great advancement. So essentially, the portal will supporting and will continue supporting the whole component of mentorship. But when it comes to clinical education, online clinical education, when it comes to your administrative tracking, when it comes to access of resources, when it comes to doing marketing for you, we are using for that FranchiseSoft. And we have with us John Cassini, who is the president and CEO of FranchiseSoft, who is going to discuss with you right now how FranchiseSoft should be and must be used directly for you, for your own benefit. And somehow I'll manage this screen to stop.
And Jam, welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay, Dimi?
Yeah, 1 second. We can hear you okay, and we'll hear you even louder in just a moment.
Okay.
Hey, hi, Jam.
Hi. Am I coming through loud and clear?
Yes, you're coming out loud and clear.
Lovely. Perfect. Okay, this was a little bit easier than I thought. So first off, I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for bearing with me as I go through a little bit about FranchiseSoft and how some of the location owners that we work with are using FranchiseSoft. As Demi mentioned, I'm the co-founder and the CEO of FranchiseSoft, and it's basically what FranchiseSoft is. It's a SaaS-based. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a software as a service, SaaS-based franchise management software. Currently, our organization has over 20 employees. We work with just over 40 different franchise organizations across the US and Canada and New Zealand, and I think in Australia as well, to provide software solutions for the marketing and operation for different franchise organizations down to the unit level. Formerly, I came with a bit of a background in franchising. I spent about 12 years working for a franchise organization, and I helped them place approximately 600 locations in 30 different countries. And during that time, I cut my teeth and I learned a little bit about franchising. And I thought, hey, if I know a little bit about franchising, I've got a passion and interest in technology, why don't I try to merge those together and build a software that can help organizations that are multi-location, multi-unit based. I also sit on the marketing and the technology committee for the International Franchise Association. FranchiseSoft is a company. I'm actually based out of sunny but cold Toronto, and my part of our office is also in California on the West Coast near Sacramento. Just to talk a little bit about some of the people that currently use FranchiseSoft. So I just thought I'd put on some logos on this slide for you to get an idea of the different individual companies that are using FranchiseSoft for their organizations. These are all franchise organizations. You may recognize some names. Probably some of the bigger ones in there are Sport Clips, the hair cutting company, or Z-Bart in the automotive space, the kickboxing companies, some pizza companies. So we have a variety of different franchise organizations using FranchiseSoft. We've been actually fortunate mainly because of our clients who are taking some of their time out to vote for us on Entrepreneur's top ranking for technology suppliers. So we've been fortunate that in the last couple of years, now in fact 3 years, we've been able to be ranked in the top technology providers to the franchise organization, the franchise marketplace inside Entrepreneur magazine. So this is just a screenshot of our ranking last year as a top franchise technology supplier. So kind of to dive right into it, you know, I really wanted to spend a bit of time today speaking with you about how we find franchisees are using FranchiseSoft. So certainly there's a component of FranchiseSoft that the franchisor uses in order to be able to run and operate their business. But there's a huge component of FranchiseSoft that is dedicated to enabling the franchisees to operate their businesses in a more efficient manner, market their businesses more effectively, communicate with head office better, and have a centralized place where they can access a lot of materials, whether they be marketing related, system and operational documents, training related, support related. So I'd like to go through some of the different modules that I think would be relevant, not only that other franchisees are using in their organizations, but I think would be relevant for locations that are using FranchiseSoft in your organization as well. So I'll begin with a kind of a corporate dashboard snapshot. So when a location owner franchisee logs in and they would like to, you know, they typically end up at the dashboard. So dashboard is actually a great spot. Right now, it is actually holding 3 boxes across the top. And you'll notice that these 3 boxes have different content in them. In fact, they can be completely customized to have various announcements, upcoming training, events, signing up for conventions, and so on. And so these three boxes are a great place where you can receive communication from head office on messages from the board of directors, for example, or any exclusive events that are coming up for partners, such as, for example, this leadership conference, or any clinical courses that you could go out there and register for. So this is a great hub for you to log in and get communication from head office that is pertinent, network-wide. So you never have to do that whole searching through the email, trying to find the most recent communication about a particular training, or if you've misplaced a calendar invite somewhere and you don't know when an event is happening, rather than rifling through old emails or notes on your notepad, you're quickly able to go out there and find that information right in the dashboard as soon as you log in. There's another section or another module that I think is quite powerful that is used by franchisees, and which we call the digital library. And so what is the digital library? It's basically a repository, and you can see that there's an icon, which I've got a green arrow to point to, which is the digital library. You can also access the digital library through the marketing module. But the digital library essentially is where you house a variety of documentation. So head office working with your marketing agencies, working with your approved vendors, with your suppliers, with your equipment vendors, with the legal team, can upload a variety of documentation. And these documents can be uploaded and categorized into folders. You can see the folder view here. It also has a list view as well. You can toggle whether you want to look at it as a thumbnail of folders or a list view. And these can be created to house any sort of documentation. So it supports a variety of multimedia, whether it be videos. So you'll notice the first section here is the 2021 Strategic Planning Series videos. Or is it branded marketing material? So it's JPEGs, or is it GIFs, or is it Word documents, or PowerPoint slides, or PDFs? So it supports a variety of multimedia. Again, all housed within this area, and it's all permission-based. So what does that mean for a franchisee? That means when you log in, you also have the ability to let some of your employees log in. And if your employee who may be a marketing coordinator or your administrative assistant is logging in, they may not necessarily need to see documents that are legal or operational based. So you can actually set permissions at a document level so that different employees have access to different information that's relevant to the role that they serve in your business. Head office can always keep this up to date so that you always have the most relevant information that's brand compliant. Any new systems, any new regulation that may have come down in your industry that needs to be communicated out, all of that information can be housed here. Like I said, it's not limited just to marketing materials. It could be videos, it could be PDFs, white papers, etc., and it's all permission-based. So pretty powerful module to have one area where you can store a lot of this information, not only for you, but also for your employees as well in your organization. As I mentioned, access approved documents and videos, and again, you can upload them and grant permissions to each franchisee based on the role that they serve. FranchiseSoft actually also offers a robust CRM system. So if you're not familiar with what a CRM system is, a CRM system stands for Customer Relationship Management. It's a great place where you can take all the people that touch your business, whether they be vendors, whether they be referral partners, whether they be potential leads. It could be therapists that are working or that are working for you or that are interested in your business. You can go out there and house all of those contacts within the CRM system. And why is that important? Because having them all in one area allows you to log tasks, log communication, add notes, send emails right through the system. And I'll talk about the marketing power behind that. But just if you wanted to keep a record of all communication that has occurred with any contact in your database of contacts, you're able to go out there and do that here. In front of you, you'll notice what's called the lead list screen. And it's essentially the list of all contacts. And you can slice and dice this data to drag and drop columns to the left and right. Maybe you want to see their first name, last name, and then their phone number immediately. Or you may want to see their first name and their last name and then you maybe want to see when that contact was last updated. And so you're able to slice and dice this screen and then save that as a preference for yourself. So when you log in, you see the screen in the format, in the layout that you prefer. Again, very powerful tool to manage all the relationships and track all communication. And guess what? Your administrative staff, your other employees can also log in and be able to see this. And when they log any communication with a particular contact in the system, everything is time and date stamped with the name of the employee that did that. So you can always see who was communicated and by who in the organization. Quite powerful. One of the things that, one of the modules that I think is quite powerful in our system and ties right into that customer relationship management system is the marketing module. So what's the marketing module? The marketing module essentially allows you to have a place where you can get template emails for your email blasts that you do during Christmas time or New Year time, or if you've got any promotions that you're running. Head office can design those templates and make them available for you inside your login area. You can also design email templates as long as you're using certainly brand compliant logos and images and such, and use these email templates to do email drip campaigns. So whether you want to target everyone who is a particular type of contact that happens to be in a specific state, or in a specific city, you're able to group those individuals together and set up drip campaigns to set up an email that goes out on day 1, a follow-up email that goes out on day 3, another email that goes out on day 5, etc. In fact, the system also allows you to do the same thing with text messaging. If you wanted to set up one-way texts, or if you are interested in having a two-way texting capability to set up drip campaigns, not only via email, but also via text. So it's a great marketing module to automate a lot of that communication, especially if you need to send out repetitive emails with progressive follow-ups. You can actually set that up in the system and it'll run according to that schedule. Just a quick screenshot of what I mentioned here, setting up a SMS campaign for text messaging or an email drip campaign is fairly straightforward. You're able to select who you want to have it sent out from. Maybe it's your administrative person, maybe it's a system email, maybe it's a marketing at or information at yourlocation.com email address. And you're able to then select the type of template, the start date of that campaign, the end date of that campaign, and then set up whatever you want to mention in that marketing campaign. It's fully HTML supported. And for those that are not tech, that basically means you can upload images and you can maneuver content around and really make it look pretty. Our system also has a survey module. So a survey module is quite important because oftentimes you may be looking to gather feedback from your employees, therapists you work with, other contacts in the organization, other members that are in touch with your business. So you're able to set up and send out surveys on your own, no coding required. And there's a survey report that goes out there and outlines exactly what the responses were. Inside the survey, you're able to select questions that are multi-select, that are a drop-down, that are yes/no answers, that are true and false answers, or that are simple descriptive text for more information. So the survey module is a great way to gather feedback. Again, all housed within the system that you can have access to and you can give employees access to. The next item that I really wanted to highlight here as I kind of get about halfway through my presentation is the support and ticketing system. So this is really important because in your organization on a daily basis, you're going to have 100 questions that are going to come up. Some of them are going to be coming from your employees. Some of them are going to be coming from you. Some of them will require head office to provide their feedback, and some may require, from a technology perspective, our tech team to respond. And so whether it's level 1 support offered by head office or level 2 support offered by the technology provider here, you're able to create what are called tickets and escalate them into head office. And the way our ticketing system is set up is when you create a ticket inside our system, you can select what department it's for. Is it a billing related question? Is it a marketing related question because you need a new marketing postcard? Is it a question related for operational because there's something, a challenge that has come up and you want to know how to handle that? Is it a legal question? So you're able to select a variety of different departments, and head office has set up escalation levels so that when your ticket comes in, it goes directly to the person who's running point on that department. And you can also set up escalation. So if it's not responded to within a certain time frame, it automatically escalates to 1 degree up. So that way nothing slips through the cracks. Any communication that happens back and forth on a ticket will be displayed almost like a chat format. You'll see that in the bottom right hand of the screen, where the ticket number 9161, you've provided a challenge or a question that you may have, the response comes in. So it actually has a timeline of a chat that goes back and forth on that ticket. So it's a great user interface, quite sticky and easy to go out there in one place and track all the tickets that you have opened up or your employees have opened up with a head office, so that you never forget what needs to be done. They can all be looked at in one area, and you can see what state, whether it's open, whether it's pending, or whether it's been closed. So that's the ticketing and support system. Again, houses everything in one area, easy way to track everything, easy way to communicate with head office and get resolution to any of the questions that you may have. One other part that I wanted to talk about, especially when you're dealing with multiple people that contact into your business, some of them may require training. So we actually have a full learning management system, often called an LMS in short, in an abbreviated form. The learning management system is essentially an online course creation platform, not only to be used to train franchisee owners, but more importantly, to be able to use by franchisee owners to set up training for their employees. And it doesn't require any coding, which is the powerful thing. You can drag and drop and create a course. And I'll show you an example of one. In fact, I actually created this in about 15 or 20 minutes. I dragged and dropped some pages together. I put some content in, and I called it the COVID-19 course or whatever it was called. And so you'll notice that the learning management system allows you to create multiple sections, multiple subsections. You can upload a variety of multimedia, whether it be written content, whether it be videos, and you can embed videos from YouTube, or you can go out there and upload your own videos, or you can make the videos not public on YouTube and embed them. That way it'll keep it private. In addition to that, the system also allows you to put up quizzes or courses or quizzes or tests. So when somebody completes a course, whether it be somebody that's inside your organization as an employee, an external third-party person that may want to come in and take a course, or it's head office assigning a course to you on certain operational items, they can set up comprehension quizzes, asking questions, again, multiple details on how to access those or how to ask those questions, whether they're text-based, whether they're multi-select, whether they're a drop-down, and so on. So there's quite versatile. You can create an unlimited number of courses, and of course, full reporting is provided on the activity that someone does inside your training report. So if somebody has watched the full video or they haven't, have they accessed all sections of the course or they haven't? So you're then able to go out there and ensure that the courses are being completed and that your people are properly being trained. Something that I wanted to mention as a sneak peek that's kind of coming down the pipeline is an enhancement to our dashboard. So you'll see it here. This is just a mock-up that I'm showing you after we've gathered a feedback from a number of franchisees that we're working with and franchisors on what is important to their location owners. They've come back with a number of different items. Certainly versatility, being able to add and remove sections as widgets on the dashboard, make certain sections more prominent than others, upload images inside certain sections for them to communicate out. So we've gone out there and taken a lot of that feedback and are right now in the process of finalizing some various mock-ups, reports and graphs on performance, KPI metrics and such that would constitute part of the franchisee's dashboard. And so some of that information obviously directly impacts you, because these are the dashboards that will house a lot of the information you're going to use to navigate the business. We'll still include those same main sections we've talked about. The digital library will get a lot more prominence on the dashboard because it's oftentimes used by owners. The announcement section or the communication section is going to be very prominent. We'll actually add not just the 3 that you see there, but you can check off to add more sections across the top from a communication standpoint. If you want to celebrate the top locations from a service standpoint, or the highest rated from a Google review standpoint, if you want to share announcements about upcoming trainings or webinars or messages from the president, etc., all of that can be housed within that dashboard. So that kind of brings me to the end of my presentation. I've left the last 9 minutes or so to open up the floor for any questions that anybody may have, or anything that they would like to discuss in a little bit more detail.
Thank you, Jam. That's awesome.
Oh, you're too kind. You're too kind. Thank you.
So how much of this has been implemented right now in your own facilities? Only a small portion of this. So we're going to be doing more trainings and more development, because definitely this can be a really great asset for your practice as you are expanding your practice. We're thinking big here. Yeah.
It seems really robust, right? And I'm wondering, from HOD's perspective, where do you think this provides the most value for owners?
Yeah.
Like what portion of that do you think that's the golden nugget right now?
You see, here's the thing. One of the very first things that we want to see happening is, for example, we're going to start organizing these events where we're going to talk, let's say, about back pain and electromyography, where we want you to market these events to your patients. So we are going to have inside this system the templates prepared, ready for you. All you have to do is just assign that this email template will be sent to your patients. And automatically, because you have uploaded the patients in your own system, it's going to go out. And you know what's the beauty of all this? That you don't have to pay $3,000 a month that you pay for some other systems currently to provide you with that. Some of you know exactly what I mean. So, and I'm not saying that these $3,000 systems do not offer value. They offer tremendous value. So you continue doing that. But what I'm saying is, look, the biggest mistake that I have seen HOD's owners, HOD's partners do is considering their HOD's business as an adjunct little thing to their physical therapy business, instead of looking at it as its own business by itself and putting the attention in that business and having the separate systems and the separate operations from their physical therapy practice to their diagnostic practice. So yeah, I know you'll tell me, well, I have MailChimp. I'm having MailChimp for my PT practice, and I do this and that. Well, yeah, good. That's good for your PT practice. But what do you have specifically for the development of your diagnostic practice? So, and that's why we selected this system, because it covers so many facets of the diagnostic practice. So if you want, from as a first thing that we would like to see working, of course, the training modules and the information is there, but we want to use this a lot in marketing, because that will bring in more blood. That is directly related to revenue.
I thought the CRM part was huge, because you can then market to physicians and have that all tracked in the CRM, and what you sent to the physician last, and when you sent it, when you visited them, that all that kind of tracking should be done by you or your marketer. But then also the email drip campaigns, like you could automatically start any drip campaign by sending out, here are your EMG results, physician, yada, yada. And then automatically 2 days later, hey, you got the results. Did you have any questions about it? And then 2 days later, hey, we are currently also doing ultrasound diagnostics, and that's just automatically done for you. And so I'm looking at it like, that's huge. And so it almost seems really overwhelming because there is so much availability there. And that's why I asked the question, like, where would you want owners to maybe focus, or where do you see the biggest value?
I think the first thing would be in the area of marketing, both internal and external marketing, and then other areas. And I'll give you an example, right? For hands-on EMG, our local diagnostic business, we have put in our physicians who refer to us patients inside FranchiseSoft. Now, when we send to them reports or communications, we don't even go to FranchiseSoft. We go to Gmail. But under the BCC, BCC, blinded CC, carbon copy. So under the BCC section, we have a code, like it's a special code. James knows exactly how to do that. There's a code that is permanently there. So that communication is being recorded automatically in FranchiseSoft from the Gmail. We don't even have to go inside FranchiseSoft. When we communicate with you, we have every single communication, every single email is inside FranchiseSoft. And that's great because you can go and say, oh, Dr. Smith, okay, what communications did I have with him? And you can go and see the communications. You can go and see the drip campaigns that you did for him. You can go and see the whole history about Dr. Smith and start developing the relationship and managing the relationship with Dr. Smith. But it's very powerful. It's tremendously powerful. Yeah, Will.
I just want to quickly put some scope to this. Yeah, so I think, for a lot of people, Nathan really hit it on the head there. I think when there's at least one person in this room who's looking at all this going, well, that's a lot, and that's insane. Or maybe you understand pieces of this, and that's great, but the whole thing just, what I've come to realize over the last 3 years with what I've been doing is that this is the replacement of our current systems around marketing. I'm not saying that we sign up for this and immediately eliminate relationship marketing, but 2020 taught us something very powerful, which is that we don't have to physically be present to be present. We can virtually do that. These are tools that will exponentially increase your potential and income around getting new patients in the door. And what really did it for me is I have a couple of my clients who are younger, and I'm sorry, but it's true, they're just younger, like PT owners. And one of these guys has never stepped into a doctor's office. He's built an entire successful practice because of this. So when we see this, I think of it like how I usually see this, which is like, no, this is cool, but it's extra. This is, and it is a little bit to learn, one step at a time. But once you get this mastered, and you can master it, it will exponentially decrease the amount of time and effort it takes to get a new patient in the door. And so as we hear that, I just want to put that context into place because it is going to replace a lot of the things that you're doing that require you physically to be there that will allow you to be free as you scale your company.
Yeah. Thank you, Will. That's awesome. Guillermo?
Since we're new to this kind of practice, they're doing the hands-on, not the physical therapy, how do we start? How do we differentiate both companies?
Yeah. So, this would have been the perfect moment. I'm not going to do it because it's going to take time, but this would have been the perfect moment to show you the amazing use of FranchiseSoft, because inside FranchiseSoft, under these, what is it called, the section with the folders? What?
The digital library.
Digital library, under digital library, there are already, how many videos already with me answering questions like this? Several.
2 dozen at least.
At least 2 dozen quick videos that they answer questions like that. Should I open a separate company for diagnostics? There is an answer there. How should I bill for ultrasound? Why did I get a denial when I billed code 76881? There's an answer there. There is at least 2 dozen of these right there, right now, where you guys can go get the answer. But answering to your question, I want to answer it through a very fundamental way. So think with me for a moment. This is your physical therapy business, right? And you are there, you're stepping into the physical therapy business, you are paying attention, and you are arranging particles, you are arranging flows, methods, procedures, and at the end you have money coming and patients getting better, right? You get products. So if I say now, okay, I'm going and adding diagnostics in there, and I give the importance of that diagnostics in a similar capacity to the importance that I give to doing laser, or to the importance that I do foot orthotics. So it is just another little tool. It's just a little additional niche there that you are paying, you're putting a little segment of your attention in that little thing. Now, let's compare that to creating a totally new business, not necessarily only on paper, but the concept of a business where you are stepping in and you are putting your attention in that new business, and you create the procedures, you create the flows, you create the personnel, you create the marketing, you create and you put attention to that in a similar capacity that you were putting attention to that business. Then, just the attention, just your beingness in there starts causing effects, it creates things. You see, at the end of the day, the things we get relate to the things we put out, to where we put our attention to. So it's more than just a legal paper. It's more than just rudiments, no more than just procedures. It is like putting your beingness into that area. And both myself and Kostas learned this lesson. We learned this lesson and we paid very, very dearly for that lesson. The lesson that where your beingness and your attention is not somewhere, that thing fails. Really. So that's my answer. So
That's a very good answer, because the concept that we have all this time is we have another tool to that big business that we have already in the physical therapy practices. We're now realizing that we're buying into completely different business. Like a hamburger business, you buy it into an ice cream business. It's two different things, even though they can sell together.
So and look at this. Let's say that you have a physical therapy business, right? You have a physical therapy business, and also you have a real estate business, meaning that you own the building where your physical therapy is housed in, right? Good. Now, your physical therapy business pays your real estate business $5,000 a month, right? So I come in and I say, hey, Guillermo, what's up, man? I like this spot here. I'm gonna open a gyro place, big Greek community here, and Greek salad and baklava, all right? Here is $20,000 a month. rent for this. What are you going to say? Are you going to say that because I have my physical therapy business and I can only afford $5,000, or you're going to allow me to pay you 20 grand a month to house my baklava business? And you relocate your physical therapy somewhere else where you can still pay the 5,000. You know, think about this. Each business, it's a business, it's separate. You gotta pay attention and respect it. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Any other question? Yes.
Since we have a physical therapy office and team does hands-on diagnostics now, you're saying you should have them basically two separate offices? And even though it's in the same location, should he be credentialed with the insurance company as a diagnostic, even though he's not board certified yet? How do I go about that? Because I do that.
That's an awesome question. The answer to this is at least a half an hour explanation, so I'm not going to give it to you now. The answer, the quick answer is that eventually, yes. Okay. When the right moment is, we have to decide it based on specific benchmarks and indicators. But the short answer is that yes, eventually, yes, you should create a separate diagnostic business apart from your physical therapy business as a legal entity. Okay, so eventually the answer is yes. In our specific situation, besides our physical therapy business, we have two different separate diagnostic testing businesses, and each of them serves a specific purpose. And I speak about that on the videos, and we can talk later on in breakouts about that if you're interested to know more. And you have a question.
It's sort of related, but could you just review the different places that we go? Like Franchise Office we just learned what Franchise Office is. Is there one other? I should know the answer, but I don't. Like, what are the main websites that we should be going to?
So here is I'm going to write this down here in this board, and hopefully the people who are watching from home will be able somehow to see that. So the very first thing that you guys should be doing is, in a daily basis, every morning you should go to FranchiseSoft and just look inside FranchiseSoft. Are there any messages from the board? What are announcements? What are courses? It even allows you inside FranchiseSoft to integrate your own schedule. Your Gmail schedule will integrate inside FranchiseSoft, so you can manage your day if you want through that. Okay, so do I have something that I want to ask HADS? No, I'm not going to send an email. I am going to open a ticket. I'm going to go and open a ticket, and I'm going to send my question to the marketing department because I can't find the brochure, blah, 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 or I have an issue where I want some additional training, where I want John Lugo in the education department, and I'm going to send a ticket. Guess what happens to that ticket? If that ticket is not answered within 48 hours, that ticket gets elevated to the deputy CEO and then to the board, because it says, hey, the person who was supposed to answer within 48 hours, that ticket did not do their job, so we have to intervene now at a higher level. So then one place is FranchiseSoft. Now, literally, aside from the mentorships, which is the mentorship portal, you will not have to type any other website, because inside FranchiseSoft, there is a link for the clinical training. So for the clinical training, you click clinical training, whatever the word is, it will take you right there. There is no reason for you to type digital chalk, blah, 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 or anything else. it takes you right there. Okay? Or currently, we also still are working on Canvas, which again, there is a link inside FranchiseSoft, but you, in a little while, you won't even have to go into Canvas. It's going to be everything in the component of Digital Shop connected with FranchiseSoft. So literally, you'll be able to operate everything through FranchiseSoft. You won't have to leave from that environment to find information about HUDs, find training, communicate with HUDs management, do your marketing, put in your KPIs, pay HUDs your bill. Like everything is going to be there. It's one-stop shop. Yes.
In that communication flow, I don't want to be the bottleneck guy for all this for my organization. That's a nightmare. So all of my staff can also jump in and communicate without me. Thank you. So all my staff can jump in and communicate without me through franchise stuff. Don't need an individual password to log in. They can only use mine. How does that work here?
No, you don't need to use yours because yours is your password. You should never share it with staff because inside your copy of FranchiseSoft, there's going to be also your franchise agreement. Any legal documents that you signed with HUDs will be there. You don't want your staff to see that. Any private communications that you have with the HUDs board or management, you don't want your staff to do it. That's why with every franchisee gets 5 accounts. So in your organization, in addition to you, you can assign 4 additional staff members to do whatever communications you want them to do. That doesn't mean that these other 4 accounts are accounts for training, because you can assign to unlimited number of people all the training you want, okay, that exists inside FranchiseSoft. Those 4 additional accounts are more administrative, if you want, accounts to have communications, requests, and stuff like that. So if you have a clinical director in the diagnostic business, they should have an account. If you have an administrative director, a billing manager, finance person, these are the people that they should have these additional 4 accounts. Okay. Look, if you want additional accounts more than what they charge, I don't remember what they charge more than that, but anyway, you won't need more than that, because then when you want to say, hey, Joe and Mary, I want you to take the training, clinical utility of diagnostic testing. You just assign the training to them. It arrives in their email address, and they do the training, and you track it. And you know if they took the training. As a matter of fact, and I don't know if you guys got it about what John was saying, not only the training that HUDs provides to your staff, but let's say you're doing a meeting, or you record the meeting, you create a video, you have some articles, you have something that you want to create an internal training course for your staff only. Through the MLS system, LMS system.
LMS.
Yeah, LMS system. You create very quickly that course, and it is your course inside there, and you can assign it to any of your staff members you want. Made up from articles, videos, whatever other stuff you want. So, yes.
I got on the microphone. So when you're communicating with your mentors, would you do that in the FranchiseSoft as well, or just in the mentorship portal? Because the problem I'm having is mentors saying that they don't know if I've updated something in the mentorship portal unless I email them, but then I'm not getting a response if they got that or not. And so I like the idea of having that, if it's not responded, somebody's tracking that.
Yeah. So here is what happens. When a report is being submitted on the mentorship portal, the mentor is receiving an email for that.
there was a point where it was turned off as a feature because the mentors were inundated with many of these emails. Perhaps we need to turn this back on so they get the notification. But if, let's say, you are trying to communicate with the, that's a question. Should we have the mentors inside FranchiseSoft? Or if the mentors don't respond, we should have a ticket being created to the Vice President of Clinical Education. That would be something to figure out. I don't know the answer. So discuss, let's figure it out. You know, whatever you think will work best.
You want us to figure it out now?
We can do it later or now or later, it doesn't matter.
We'll give you 5-10 minutes, is that enough?
You discuss it with the business advisory board and come up with a suggestion. Yes, that would be a good way to.
Jennifer has the solution.
I don't know about a solution.
What, Jennifer, what is it?
Well, just the way that I calculate, like my.
Hold on. Hold
This
on.
might not even be a good idea, guys. I don't know.
Jennifer, now, that's it. You gotta get the solution. You're liable to the solution.
So how I mean, essentially with my diagnostics emails versus, PT emails, like there are certain providers that I mark as, like, say, for example, the mentor, say they have a report email coming in, they have a separate box that goes to. So that way, all of the mentorship, whatever reports or whatever are being listed are going to that box, so they can just click on that box or that folder within their email, and then they can all set up in there. That way, it's not going into their regular email and they're just overlooking it. That was my issue. I was just overlooking stuff that wasn't pertaining to diagnostics.
So you have
And then my
flagged your.
coworkers were like, hey.
So you have flagged the mentors' emails to arrive inside a folder in your Gmail.
Correct. Or for them, you know, if they get a mentorship, it just goes to a separate folder, so
Right.
they can just click on that folder.
That's cool. Any other questions? All right. John, thank you so much. Great job, man. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
And I'm reviewing quickly that I covered 3 areas: the area of strategy, the area of branding, and the area of delivery. And the final area I'm going to be delivering tomorrow afternoon is going to be the finances. And I'm going to pass it right now. First, for who is going? You? Or?
It's time to break it down.
All right. So, and here's Nathan.
I can do it, or I can finish.
Here's James.
Yeah, make sure I'm on video. I'm directing and speaking. Okay.
Yes, you are on video.
All right. So I just wanted to get an official who I am, what I do kind of thing. We've spoken, everybody here, well, nearly everybody here, several times to me. You've seen me at events and webinars and whatever. And we all have torsos, which is great. Great news. We're not all just the heads. I guess I just want to let you know that my position title, which you all know this already, likely, is the Deputy CEO. And what does that mean? And that's what I want to make sure that that's clear, so you all have understanding why I should get your communication, what you need from me, what I provide you, what I can approve, and what I can't, right? All that. So there's 2 basic arms. It's not 2 functions, 2 arms of my day-to-day job duties. One is the internal running of HODS. Nothing to do directly with any of you directly. Is HODS here? Is the company here, the business? Does it function? Is it doing its job? Is it making money? Just running the business. We all run businesses in this room pretty much. So that's what I do with half my time, give or take, right? That's one of the arms of what I do every day, is run the business. And I have staff that totally back me up, and 90% are new like the last 3 months new. So, and I'll call them up in a second. They don't have to come up. And the other arm of what I do is provide you with tools you need, or broker the conversations you need with the board, with Demi and these guys, to get the services and stuff you need to benefit from HODS and expand your company. That's the other part of what I do. So there's the franchise services director hat or functions, which is making sure you guys get what you need and can produce and so on. Questions answered, et cetera. And then there's running the business of HODS. So that's just you. Does that make sense? Kind of my two arms there. So that's the first thing. I'll talk a little bit about responsibility that we both share. You guys to HODS and me to you, me and my staff to you, right? So one thing that I'm going to give you a viewpoint I have. Not right or wrong, it's a viewpoint I have. That if I take ownership, not fault is finding out someone to blame, right? Responsibility is taking ownership of something, right? That I have something to do with what's going on. So my viewpoint in the HODS business is that it's on my shoulders, and they're broad, and that's totally cool. I had to do this this kind of stuff for a long time. So you know a little bit more about me and my responsibility. I need to make sure HODS is successful, and I need to make sure you're successful. So I'm responsible for each of you and your clinics and your production and your functions and your marketing, all with your diagnostics business. That's what I'm responsible for you guys and what you do there on some level. And if that's not my viewpoint, then I'm too disconnected from you. Then you're that guy or that gal, and I don't know who you are and care, but I do, and that's my job. So every day, you have to understand that that's my viewpoint on this. The same way it is for me in HODS, that Megan and Nellie and these ladies and Tim, the new salesman, and the board, need stuff from me. Same thing you guys deal with on the different levels, right? So I wanted to let you know that. So that I'm responsible for providing you with assistance and help. I can't fully approve everything that you need me to approve, but I'm the guy that gets it approved or gets it done or can broker, like I said, the conversation. So that's my responsibility there. Your responsibility is stuff like the protocols and policies of HODS. That's some of you know, some of you are newer and you don't know. Responding to communication, and that's two ways. Again, I'm responsible for my communication to you and my help to you guys. So that's what I wanted to make sure that both sides here that we're clear on, that you guys are here to provide whatever HODS policies and procedures need to be applied and done and protocols followed, and that I am fully responsible to whatever degree I can be for your functioning, your satisfaction, and your health. And and just note that I've been here, it'll be almost a year. It feels like longer than that, but almost a year. I think COVID was kind of my anniversary. The 23rd of March, New York. I think it hit the 16th, I think, 20th. So I was this close to not having a job because COVID hit New York. We weren't sure what was going on. And then we said, let's do this. So he got me involved. And I mean, the board will speak for themselves with regard to me. But my viewpoint is that one thing that I'm able to provide is the broad shoulders, the open communication. I don't really hold nothing back. And you like that or you hate that about me. I don't know. Hopefully you don't mind it about me. But I communicate openly and I want to hear your communication. So the last thing I want to do, and then I want to get it over to Nathan so you guys can break out into your thing, is help. So you guys can help me and HODS in this way. You can follow procedures and policies. You can communicate openly to me. And some of you do. Some of you, we probably talk every other day on some level, between email or text or whatever, or once a week at least. And that's awesome. Because if I look, I'm an employer myself, and I'm an HR guy myself. And when you have that quiet person in your office that never talks, you can assume that they're just doing their job, or you can check in on them and say, what's going on there, Sally or Peter, right? So I don't want to be the quiet guy that you never hear from. And I don't really want you to be the quiet people I don't ever hear from. Even if it's, what's up, how's it going? Both ways. So that would benefit me. That would help me provide you more and make sure that what we talked about last week, did it have an effect? Was it worthless? Was it BS? I want to hear that too. Again, they're broad, these guys. So it's totally cool. So that's what you guys can help me with. And if you hear, the last piece of it is if you hear, if Janine's having a rough time and Graham hears about it, I need to hear that too. From either of them, from Jean, obviously, ideally, but from Graham too. Because if I don't know that, and I don't let them know that, and no one's saying it, that's that disgruntled employee at your front desk who doesn't like you because you're not paying her enough money.
You didn't give her a raise. You don't notice her because she's been there for so many years. And then they're just grumpy and grouchy and disgruntled and not happy, right? When you approach her or him and you talk to them about what's going on, okay, at least we got the communication. So that's what I want to make sure that if you guys have issues, bring it to me. If I'm not the right guy to fix it, I'm not the billing manager for HODS. I'm not the marketing manager for HODS. I'll give you that person's name, social, and address. But you can give it to me first and let me sort it out. I don't mind that. And that's all. That's all I really want is to help. And then what am I going to provide you now? So what I'm providing you is starting, and the board as well, starting the Q2. Nellie, and I think Guillermo or somebody back there maybe asked the question. Nellie will be changing gears a little bit in HODS. She still has to market and provide HODS with promotion corporately. That's her job, right? But we're going to switch gears a little bit to what Diane was starting to roll out 5 months ago-ish. There was a monthly seminar she did about marketing, if you were part of that or you heard about that. So those kinds of things, the templates, the digital library, the trifold pieces, the banners in your office, the stickers, all that, the best practices, how to do a grand opening, when to do a grand opening, all of that, the manual you're going to be getting. You're gonna have Nellie's assistance. I'm going to give her up to make sure that she's providing those things for you guys, along with what Dr. K and Costa have produced that was successful. But all the successful actions, FAQs, all that stuff on marketing. Because like Dr. K said, it's what makes you direct money. Get the patient in the door, there's a body to treat and to test. So yeah, I'm going to give you my time, more of it, and energy, because right now we have staff. If you've been here for more than a few months with HODS, there's a lot of new faces on that opening slide. Nellie was the sales assistant a year ago. She's now the director of marketing and advertising. Because
I would just like to say that I came in the door
Yes,
on
yes,
that.
right, exactly. But that's her background.
I was trying to get my foot in the door, but I had my own demons.
Your own agenda.
Yeah, I had
That
my own
worked.
agenda.
But we have her attention and time now in HODS for you, for us, which we didn't have before. We have Megan here, who's my communicator, my assistant, as well as basically the receptionist switchboard for all incoming communication through InfoAct, phone calls, all of that, among other projects that she's handling, right? We have Perla, who you haven't met yet. She's only here in the evenings, who is the admin assistant and works directly with Tim, who's the new sales director for national sales. So these are all new people or on new positions. And we finally have that in place and we're getting in place. And that's what I do. If I do anything right, I'm a father pretty well. I do a pretty good job of that. But anything else right in business, I can establish systems and get staff on their positions, on their hat, on their post, functioning. So I have bodies, they're competent individuals, they're good people. I like them. Most of the staff here like each other too. And so you have, that's what I'm giving you guys. I'm giving you their attention, their time, my attention, my time, more than you've had before. And Q2 with all these binders coming and everything else, that's the plan. Is Q2 is a very different look at my help to you, the marketing help back up, and the other lines inside HODS for the partners here that you maybe didn't have the same way or at all before. So that's what I'm going to be sweating and putting on these guys to make sure we all produce and we all win. That is all. Thank you. If you want.
Okay, so we've got till 2:30 to break out into masterminds and go to lunch. So I think we've got time. We're a little bit behind in breaking out. But before we break out into the masterminds, I just want to say a couple things. At the last Leadership Academy that we did in Atlanta, you guys might remember towards the end as I was moderating, one of the things, and I know as I turn this way, I'm away from the mic. Sorry. I'll bring it over here. I remember distinctly, I think it was Mindy Irvine who mentioned, you know, it's tough because we come to this academy and we get excited and we spark ideas and think, oh, this is what I got to do. I got to go do that. And I got to do this with diagnostics. And then 2, 3, 6 months later, you're like, what was I gonna do about that again? And I don't recall, and blah, blah, blah. And you lose steam, right? The energy that's generated from a conference like this generally tends to peter out, if not in a couple of weeks, in a couple of months, right? So the idea that I had stems from more like our story, Will and my story, is that I can think one of the flexion points that turned our businesses into success was networking and joining a mastermind. We joined a small business network in Phoenix that started changing our mindsets. And this network, we met quarterly as a large group and then monthly in smaller accountability groups, is what they call them, and masterminds. If you read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, he kind of alluded or illustrated the concept of a mastermind, of a group of people coming together to brainstorm and help each other resolve their issues. And so that was, when I read that, which was after we had joined our network, I thought, well, yeah, that's what happened with us. We joined this network, we met other small business owners who, although they weren't physical therapists, were dealing with a lot of the same issues. We're not alone in the profession with HR problems and front desk customer service issues, yada, 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 yada. And so we would collaborate with these other small business owners. So I thought one thing that could, and I'm hoping that it will, help you guys maintain some of this energy and the ideas and the goals that get sparked from this conference is continued through these masterminds. Now, whether or not these masterminds are successful are up to you. They're not up to HODS. It's up to the individual people within the mastermind. If they want to make it successful, it's up to them to do that. I mean, this event is sanctioned by HODS, and of course, I'm speaking on behalf of HODS, but this is kind of your thing. So if you guys meet together in groups, if you want to meet monthly, that's up to you. If you want to meet every 6 weeks, bi-monthly, that's up to you guys. There is no structure to it at this point. You guys make it what it is. So your participation in the mastermind goes back to what I alluded to before. You will get out of it what you put into it, essentially, right? And that was something that I recognized over time. Is one of the cornerstones of success of a lot of business owners is their ability to network, and that's what this is in small vacuum, is networking with like-minded business owners. Really quickly, Will, what would you recommend to people who, and by the way, who has been part of a mastermind or accountability group in the past? Can you attest to the success of being part of one? And have you seen them be good and seen them be bad? Right? So, so what you've learned from previous masterminds that weren't good, take that with you. Make sure it doesn't happen. But really quickly, Will, if you have a microphone, could you share really quickly what you would encourage people to, what should their mindset be going into a mastermind to make it successful?
Yeah, so I think it's a great question. First of all, I want you to understand the concept with masterminding, which is that your network is your net worth. Your network is your net worth. And when I think about HODS, I said this, it's actually written on my face to my left, which is that HODS is the #1 PT network in the country. That was something I said during one of my coffees with Will. And it was one of those things that it was sincere, because I'm very fortunate to see what is out there in physical therapy. And so the HODS, I just want to, before I go into that answer, I just want to highlight the fact that double the value of just the diagnostic piece is this room right here. If leveraged correctly, your network is your net worth. It's who you know. Who first, then what. And so HODS is a what and a who, in the sense that you get to know each other. So when you're looking at masterminds, this is something that I have who I am, who's standing in front of you, has a lot to do with the masterminds I participated in. So when it comes to the mindset, and I'll finally answer this question, the mindset has to look like, number one, authenticity. We have to show up as we are. We can't carry with us a lot of the baggage in terms of trying to present a certain face or image. We want to be authentic with what we're working on that's going well, what we're struggling with. And the second thing goes right with it, which is commitment. Commitment, the mindset of commitment is massive. So when we can commit to a mastermind and really honor those other people's relationships as if it's the most important thing in the world. And by the way, I understand that most of us are running around trying to handle multiple things simultaneously. The network should always come first because it is our net worth. And so Nathan and I both could go into story after story about this. So the mindset and my intention of speaking in this way is to produce an experience right now of commitment and authenticity that you'll bring into that group. Because if you really want it to be, it can be a life-changing experience. You know, own your own experience, as Nathan said at the beginning. That's a chance for taking responsibility for ourselves by making this a priority. So like if we do continue with the mastermind, it's essential that like if you're gonna start, you start to the minute on time. Like in a way that we are really loose with our integrity around it. Masterminds are about commitment. We show up on time. We make that our full attention. If we can't provide that, there's nothing wrong in saying I'm not ready for this yet. But I would encourage you to find something within you to commit to a group that is going to change your life. And if you do that and everyone else does that, then you have a synergy effect. And people will, in fact, grow their business and their personal world in a way they can't describe.
Thanks. That's perfect. Thank you. And I want to even add to that. I think what you'll find in the fulfillment of a mastermind group comes when your mindset is such that not what can I extract from this group, but what can I provide? And if everybody goes into the mindset, what can I provide? How can I bring value to the group? If everyone's thinking that, then you're going to get a lot of value out of it. If you're going into it thinking, what's in this for me? And everyone comes into it with what's in it for me, then there's nothing to share. Right? I mean, you're not bringing yourself to the table. You're not bringing value. We're looking for opportunities to bring value to other people's lives. And that's what this mastermind comes from, and Napoleon Hill gets into it, is the sharing of minds. Sometimes the 1 + 1 = 3 when you get like-minded people together. That's the idea behind it. So hopefully that's the purpose for me establishing you into mastermind groups. Hopefully this is something that you guys can take away from that helps you beyond February 26th and 27th. Those are the dates that we're on. It takes you beyond this weekend and pushes you to the symposium. And maybe we, in September, meet again in person, and it generates a little bit more enthusiasm and starts that flywheel again and starts spinning out ideas and progress. So that's the idea behind it.